Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 40 of the Galactic Window Space Podcast. My name is Nick, and in the Central Time Zone, I am known as the Orbital Alliance.
And once again, I am just Tan still, also known as Chasing the Milk.
That's
Welcome in.
right. That's right. Episode 40, we're over the hill. Isn't
This
that
is
right?
huge, man. This is huge.
We're in the fours now. That's pretty exciting. Just want to say a big welcome to everybody who's tuning in live with us on the podcast, in our live chat over on YouTube. We're also streaming live to Twitch. So if you're over on Twitch, hello to all of you. And big news that we've announced recently, this space podcast, Space and Astronomy podcast, is now broadcasting every single week onto all your favorite audio platforms. So if you're tuning in with us after the fact, post live show, on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or Spotify, whatever your preferred audio platform is, you can find us there. And we're glad that you're checking us out in a different way.
Yeah.
But do keep in mind, if you are watching or listening to us there might be some visual aspects to the show occasionally. Like it might be showcasing some pictures or featuring comments from the live chat where you can see them in the video. So if you are curious, be sure to hop over at least to YouTube, find the replay, and find those parts that you couldn't watch while you were listening. It might complete the experience, but it's still totally a listenable experience in whatever way you're joining in.
It's been cool, man. I think ever since we officially made it to the other platforms, I don't know, man. I feel like a different person. I just feel I feel a little more cooler that we are officially a podcast.
If Ron Colson is listening, it's professional. There's a little inside joke from the production days, but yeah, I agree, man. It feels like a totally different tier of value. Maybe that's the right word for it. It's kind of cool. I know the reach is wider, the net is wider, and also it's just like there's a prestige, I think, when you think, oh, we're on Apple Podcasts. you gotta be famous to do that. So I guess we're famous, Tan. What do you say?
Yeah, dude. I've been like looking at some of the views on the well, I guess the listens on the podcast. I think most of them are mine, but I just had to hear it for myself. Like I was just kind of driving around listening. I'm like, man, this is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little biased, but I'm very. What I'm getting at is I'm pretty proud of us, man. I'm stoked.
Me too. Yeah. Dude, Tan, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, man, this is cool. Let's go to the moon. Episode 40.
Episode 40. That's right.
Yeah. Welcome in, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome. See a lot of y'all in here.
Familiar names, friends.
It's my favorite part, dude.
Variety.
You know what? That's my favorite part, is seeing the familiar faces right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. Shout outs to Celestial Siren coming in, Angie, Joe, Harmony, RDJ, Iron Man himself.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah. And many more. I see at least 12 people tuning in live with us, which is pretty cool. If you guys know somebody who you think would have a good time hanging out with us, hanging out with you guys, hanging out with all of us, be sure to share the live with them. Just send them a text like, hey, I think you would enjoy this.
Yeah, or if you are in touch with someone that you regularly see on the show, hit them up like, hey man, where you at? It's starting. This is not like you to not be here. What's going on? Check in on them. Make sure they're okay.
That's right. For those of you who are new, maybe there's some of you who's just like watching it in the upper deck, and you're like, hey, I'm checking this out for the first time. Just want to welcome you guys. You are equally as welcome as someone who's been here every single episode since the beginning. This is a space and astronomy podcast. We try to keep it on topic the best we can. Sometimes we deviate, and that's okay because we're human beings. We're not robots. We don't have just programming. We like to have a little bit of fun here and there. But the goal is to try to get everybody to appreciate the night sky just a little bit more, to have a better understanding of it. And it doesn't matter who you are, what your background is. There's always an on-ramp for you, whoever you are out there. So hopefully tonight's episode is that on-ramp, because we're going to be talking about an upcoming lunar eclipse, which is next week, I think. It's pretty cool. We're also going to be talking about some other moon happenings, some moony happenings. We're gonna be talking about the Firefly Aerospace commercial lander, which was a big success. It landed on the moon this weekend, which is a huge deal. I might have one more thing in my head about the moon to share, which is not that important, but it is about the moon. So this is a very lunar themed episode. It's a moony episode.
You could say it's one for the lunatics out there.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. Well, let's jump right in, man. I can't wait.
We just hope that Tan doesn't moon us.
No promises. It'll be worth it.
Yep.
All right, y'all. Grab some snacks. Grab a drink.
Munchies.
Yeah. Maybe a moon pie.
A moon pie? Oh.
Yeah, you ever had one of those?
I have, and it was okay.
Say that again. Say it to my face.
I mean, it was delicious.
Thank you.
Moon pie.
Honestly, they're all right. All jokes aside.
You know what I think the issue was is maybe I didn't find the right flavor. I know they've got many a flavor of moon pie, and I think maybe I just didn't have the right one. And to be honest, at this point, I don't even remember which one I had. I think it may have just been the original. Maybe there's a different one out there for me. Who knows?
The hunt for the perfect moon pie. Well, Tanzanite in the chat says moon pie and RC cola. Okay. I haven't had that combo.
I do have a case of Blue Moon Belgian white beer in my garage right now.
We'll wait.
Yeah.
On this episode, we are
sauce.
Actually, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Check it out. We got a new member.
Hey.
Princess Tamara.
What's happening, Tamara? Thank you so much.
3:00 in the morning in Slovenia.
Oh my gosh.
Just to show some love.
Believe it.
MVP.
We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Every week. And she always gives the
supers at the end.
The super thanks. Every Tuesday morning I wake up to it.
Yeah.
That
Tamara, you've been spoiling us.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, you're so awesome. Thank you.
Avoy says you guys should do a What's in the Night Sky monthly stream like Alan Wall's videos. That'd be awesome, Blossom. Ooh, yeah. Well,
good idea.
I guess you can tonight's going to be kind of like a What's in the Night Sky, but it is going to be lunar themed, and I'm super excited to dive right in because we have exactly 10 days until the lunar eclipse, a total lunar eclipse, and y'all, I just want you guys to get excited about it because it's going to be pretty awesome.
Should we jump right into that mess, dude?
Man, let's just do it. Let's do it.
Tan, you want to explain what the flippin' heck a lunar eclipse even is?
Yeah, you guys are lucky. Yeah, I mean, pretty much it occurs when the Earth moves directly between the sun and the moon. So it casts a shadow that completely covers the moon. This only happens during a full moon, and the sun, Earth, and moon are perfectly aligned. But there's basically just a few key phases of a total lunar eclipse. We have the penumbral eclipse, all right, or the penumbral phase. That's whenever the moon enters the outer part of the Earth's shadow. We have the partial eclipse, and that it's kind of like whenever you see like the moon almost like getting a chunk out of it being eaten. And then, of course, we have the total eclipse, or known as totality. And this is the cool part. This is the part that I would say, if you're going to watch an eclipse, you got to see this part. But yeah, usually you're going to see a pretty bright red or orange colored looking moon. And then it just goes on to the rest where you get another partial eclipse and then the penumbral ends. But in short, yeah, it's going to be pretty awesome. It's going to be pretty sick, man.
At this point in my astronomical career, I have lost track of how many lunar eclipses I've witnessed. Gosh, I don't know, maybe a dozen. I could be wrong, but I know that I've imaged a fair amount of them in recent years. Like within the last 5 years, I know I've captured, I think, all of them that have happened. I think I've been pretty lucky to get good weather. I feel like it's almost always clear, and it's like pretty awesome. Knock on all the wood. I'm at the point where I feel like if it is cloudy for me when this one happens, I'm gonna be like, you know what, I've been spoiled. I'm okay with it. I'm not gonna be upset about it. I've got a lot of imagery of lunar eclipses at this point, and they're beautiful, man. But I definitely lost track. But they're no less beautiful, no matter how many times you see them, because it's again, kind of like a total solar eclipse in a different way. It's like, what the heck am I looking at? Like, why is this a thing? It's absolutely wild.
I agree. Well, Tanzanite in the chat asks here, is it like a solar eclipse where there's certain areas who see the whole thing? This particular one is going to be mostly North America and some parts of Africa. Most for the totality part, meaning the part where it completely covers and you get a blood orange moon. If you're listening or if you're watching, if you check out timeanddate.com, you can input your exact coordinates, and that will give you the exact location and time down to the T on where you can see it and what parts you can see, at what times you can see the different phases. But for the most part, most of everyone's going to be able to see this one. It's going to be really cool. I've lost count of how many times I've seen it as well. And similar to what you were saying, I think most of the time I've been very fortunate to have clear skies. But I do remember having almost like a panic eclipse, meaning it was clear and then it got really cloudy and you're kind of like nervous that you're going to miss the whole thing. But then just enough pops out through the clouds where you have a really cool opportunity to get a cloudy eclipse. But very, very fortunate to see it. And if you guys are listening to this, whether you've seen it or this will be your first time, I would say it's worth checking it out. I would go even as far as maybe waking up your little ones just for this special event. It is going to be late, but man, it is really, really cool.
To kind of do a little bit of a deeper comparison to solar eclipses versus lunar eclipses in terms of viewability, solar eclipses like the one that happened last year in April have a much more narrow path where you have to be way more specific about where you are. Whereas lunar eclipses are visible to a much, much, much wider spread of surface area on planet Earth, because your perspective dictates that, and the way the objects are kind of aligned, the angles and the expansion of those viewing points is different. So you have a much higher chance of seeing a lunar eclipse like this one than a total solar eclipse. So this is kind of like the more relaxed one, I would say. The other one's way more pressure to get to the right spot. This one's kind of like, yeah, you could probably be in the whole United States, and that varies from event to event, but like, you don't have to like drive to a specific strip,
I agree. I don't think it's hyped up to the point where people are flying in from other countries just to see this one thing, So don't worry about getting stuck in traffic or going to somewhere where it's going to be overly congested. There's more than likely going to be people watching, but this is going to happen pretty late. Unlike the total solar eclipse, most people aren't going to be willing to head out to 2 o'clock in the morning to see this. So, right. Just know that. Keep that in mind.
I want to feature Tan's comment here, timeanddate.com. I would agree. This is like the best site for eclipse data because it does let you get nitty gritty, and they have all these visualizations, and they have like animated things that you can customize to your area. They show you what it should look like at what time, and it's beautiful. It looks like Tanzanite though had no idea what you said the first time around, and I don't know what she thought you said. It's just I totally did not hear the time and date.
I was just
dead.
mumbling.
Yeah, who knows? But
yeah. Well, here, since we're talking about it, I can give you guys kind of like my local time, and then you can do the conversion. But just note timeanddate.com for those of you guys that are watching, listening, is going to be I just highly recommend using that over anything else. So let's see. Let me pull this up right here. All right, so we have the penumbral. This is basically whenever the moon is starting to get a little bit darker. You might not even notice this with your naked eye, but if you have a telescope, you can actually see it happening really, really gnarly. So for me, it's going to be the morning of the 14th. All right, and it's happening. I'm sorry, the night of the 13th, going into the morning of the 14th. But it starts at 11 p.m. for me. All right, 10:57 p.m. Central Time, and then the partial eclipse will be at midnight or 12:09 a.m. And again, these are all at Central Time. The full eclipse will be at 1:26 a.m. and then maximum eclipse will be at 1:58 a.m. and then the eclipse ends at 2:30 a.m. and then you're back to the partial, which starts at 3:47 a.m. and the penumbral, which is at 5. Me, I will most likely just be watching from 11 p.m. to about 2:30 a.m. So once you kind of see the first part, the second part, it's kind of the same. I would, in my opinion, I would probably watch it if I'd missed the initial partial and penumbral. But yeah, I hope that helps. Just know that the maximum eclipse or the full eclipse, 1:30 a.m., and that's probably the part that you really want to see.
Yeah, it's such a gradual event as it happens that shadow kind of trickles in and you kind of like, am I actually seeing, is there really anything? And then it sneakily happens to you. You might go back inside for a little bit for like 20 minutes and come back and be like, I don't know. But then you come back like an hour later, you're like, oh snap, where's the moon?
Yeah.
And then there's like this, it's almost like it went from a full moon to a crescent. And you're like,
yeah,
that's freaking weird. That just doesn't make sense. And especially if you're really aware of lunar phases and you know what the current phase is, and you know what they all look like and where they should be in the sky at particular phases. Like for instance, crescent moons are either going to be really close to sunrise or sunset. They're never going to be at midnight. That's just never going to happen because that isn't how that works. But seeing a crescent moon at midnight, you're like, hold on, this is like imposter syndrome. Like, what are you doing here? Like what weird multiverse scenario are we in right now? It's kind of a mind-bending thing. And then you come back, 40 minutes later and the whole dang thing is red. It's like,
that's the part that's trippy, especially for people who don't know what's happening. They're probably driving, and I can almost guarantee there's going to be some conspiracy videos coming out with people pointing their phone at the sky, which is cool because people are paying attention. But it's definitely crazy if you don't know what's going on.
I also like Tanzanite mentioning that's not as quick as a solar one. Yeah, it's way longer. Solar eclipses are mere minutes at best. Like a long solar eclipse would be like 7 minutes. Most of the time they're like between 2 and 4 minutes. But these, they're, 45 minutes to an hour or something like that in it's full umbral phase.
Yeah, full eclipse begins at 1:30 and ends at 2:30. So you get a solid hour.
So you can chill with this one. You can go outside, get a good look for 5 minutes, and if you're tired, go back in. Or if it's cold, go warm up, pop back outside 20 minutes later if you want. It's still going to be red. Go back in, get warm again, wake up your kids, go back out, go watch for another 15 minutes, and then you'll start seeing it move on. Throw a party.
Yeah, exactly. And if you missed the initial part too, you can always, like, the entire thing is about 5 hours. So from, 6 hours. So from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. So like I said, if you missed the initial part or maybe you're in bed, you can get up really early. Maybe you sleep early and you're getting up for work. You can still catch it on your way to work. So just know you got about a 6-hour stretch to see the entire thing.
That's right. I had a thought a second ago and it just escaped me, but it'll probably come back.
Okay. Angie asked if you'll see it in Alberta. Yeah, you'll be able to see it. Slovenia, I don't know the exact location. I believe you're going to see a partial, so you're not going to see the full total, but it's still going to be really cool. And again, timeanddate.com is going to be the best tool to use to figure that out.
Just thinking about the size of the shadow is kind of one of the fun parts about this. Is whenever there's a lunar eclipse, I like looking up at the moon, and you can't see this circle of the Earth's shadow in space. Like it's only what the moon passes through. Otherwise, it's just shadow on black. So like you'll never be able to see it. But my favorite part is actually looking at the sky and imagining the circle and the size of it, because the Earth, is much larger than the moon. But you imagine this little circle going through this bigger circle and trying to see, I guess, in the sky, like how big the Earth's shadow really is. If you could kind of complete that, it's a fun little exercise, something
cool
to do, and it kind of stretches your imagination a little bit. So that's what I would encourage you all to do.
I like that. I've never looked or thought of it like that. Yeah, I'm gonna try that this time. I'm usually just so focused on trying to get like the best photo, but yeah, I think this time I'm really gonna soak it in, because I don't remember the last total lunar eclipse, but it's been a while. I think it's been a year or so.
Yeah. I always forget the patterns that it is. There's like there's these repetitions where it's like every 2 years. There's like a couple of them every 6 months. They're usually relative to times when there's a total solar eclipse, and it's like an opposite. I have to do a little bit more reading on it. I've read about it, and I would be giving bad information if I tried to explain it. So I'd rather confirm it. So maybe I can look it up in a second. But lunar eclipses are more common compared to total solar eclipses. So this is one of those things where it's like, if you do miss this one, definitely way lower stakes than versus if you miss a solar eclipse. Those are way more rare. And like I was saying, they're more region and specific with their location. So, if you miss this one, there'll be another one in the not too distant future. Just got to be patient. They happen quite frequently. So you just got to be awake is really kind of the bigger thing.
Yep. They're very frequent. And to what you were saying before, I'm reading on time and date here. This is really interesting, and I didn't know this, but it says an eclipse never comes alone. A solar eclipse always occurs about 2 weeks before or after a lunar eclipse. Usually there are 2 eclipses in a row, but other times there are 3 during the same eclipse season. Now, that's very interesting. I didn't know that.
That's
makes sense, though.
What I was thinking of. I'm glad you read that.
Yeah. Alex asked, do you know what happens to know the positioning of the moon? Yeah, so it's going to be a full moon. It's going to be probably at its highest point in the sky. Like I said, total is going to happen around 1:30 a.m.? Full eclipse, 1:26 a.m. Central Time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it is going to be a little late, but definitely worth seeing one.
Yeah, thinking about the relationship between the sun and the earth and the moon, like this is kind of when they all line up. So if that's the case, then the moon has to be in a full phase for it to happen. So
correct.
A lunar eclipse will never happen during a crescent or a third quarter moon or any other phase. It will have to be full.
They have to be perfectly aligned. So you have the moon, sun, and earth, or moon, earth, and sun.
Right. Forgive me if my brain is just lapsing on me. Tan, did you explain why it turns red or how it turns red? Did you before?
No. Let me pull this up, because I know it has to do with the sun, but I'm gonna make sure that I also have my stuff dialed in here. Okay. So let's see here. During totality, some sunlight bends through the Earth's atmosphere, scattering blue light and allowing red and orange hues to reach the moon. This is often called a blood moon. The exact color depends on dust, pollution, and cloud cover in the Earth's atmosphere. Yeah, so basically just a bunch of refraction, a bunch of scattering of sunlight, which is really, really cool. Again, it's man, we might have to pull up some photos here, but if you guys have never seen one, it's kind of crazy to see, because it honestly looks like a little orange in the sky. And usually the only time you see a moon that is that color is whenever it is on the horizon, which is typically when it is collecting or sitting in all that dust and atmosphere, right? But to see it high in the sky and also orange is very remarkable. So cool. So excited, yeah.
Yeah. I do have one more unique lunar eclipse story that I want to share really quick. So this was, I think, back in 2018. I knew there was going to be a lunar eclipse hitting America, but it wasn't going to be visible from Illinois, where I'm located.
Okay.
Or at least it was only a partial, maybe. But the full was going to be visible to the West Coast. And I happened to have a trip planned to Arizona at that time. and the total eclipse was happening in the mornings. I think it was predominantly over the Pacific, but the tail end of the umbral phase was on the West Coast and kind of into the mountain time zone. So I was in Mesa, Phoenix Mesa at the time, and I woke up at stupid o'clock. And I didn't have I didn't have a good camera kit at the time. So I remember I scrambled. I asked random people that I knew. I was like, does anybody have a telephoto lens? I don't. The most I have is like, I think a 24 to 70 millimeter lens, and that is not very zoomed in. I was like, I want to capture a lunar eclipse. So I borrowed, like, it was like a starter tier, oh gosh, it was like a 100 to 300 Canon EF lens from somebody's dad that I knew. It's kind of like the kind of lens you'd bring to your kid's soccer game. By far, it was not even close to anything that should be used for astro, but it worked. And I woke up, and it was a cool shot that I got with the lunar eclipse under palm trees in Phoenix. And I tried my best to make it look like the moon was a coconut under the palm trees, but I couldn't get it positioned just right. But it was cool. It was one of my favorite shots. And it looks really, really neat. I'll have to find it. I'll pull it up for the stream here in a little bit. But I remember that one happening. But that was the one time I got to witness a lunar eclipse like setting. It wasn't like high up in the middle of the night. It was at
that's cool.
That's like 5 in the morning, and it was like on the horizon, which was really cool. So I'll search for that and I'll pull it up.
Yeah, no, I love that. What a cool opportunity, because you can get get some cool foreground in the shot.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Gosh,
Richard Jones, I see your comment in here, man. So if you guys are having problems trying to send stuff, whether it's supers or members, I think it could just be your browser. So Richard Jones, I am logged into my Google account. I think you have to be logged in, because I'm watching on YouTube here. I'm logged in to my account. So, and you'll know by looking at the top right of your screen, and if you see an icon, then you'll know you're logged in. But yeah, try that. If that doesn't work, it might just be a browser. And again, don't want you to stress out too much for it. Really appreciate the support, but we appreciate you just hanging out. So try that. Try signing in. Try a different browser, and see if that helps.
I'm gonna check my end as well.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, it's all showing up for me on my account as well. So I think the functions are there.
I'm going to try something real quick, because I think you do have to be signed in. Let me check something. Also,
what's up, Daniel?
What up? I think we could pull up some photos too. That would be cool. And show you guys some of the photos that we've taken.
Yep.
Galactic window.
I've got a bunch of them ready to go here.
Okay. Oh, well, actually, it says sign into chat. Okay, so I think he is signed in. Yeah, you could always try a different browser too. I don't know if you use Google or what are the other ones? Safari, Firefox.
Yeah.
Whatever. Microsoft. Yeah. Nice milk light. Was it a gift? No, I spent my hard-earned money on it. Got it off of Amazon. I'm not really stoked on where it's positioned, but for now, the milk's gonna be right in the corner.
Mount it. For those who are listening in on the show, Tan has a neon light behind him that's shaped like a milk carton, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I feel.
Zaliro dropping the 5 super in the chat. Thank you so much, man.
5 doll hairs. Thank you so much, dude.
Doll hairs.
5 doll hairs.
What's up, Tiffy?
Seems to work for me. Oh, Zaliro's just flexing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Mad flex. Everybody throw a muscle arm in the chat for Zaliro, and a few dubs, a few W's.
Yeah.
I'm gonna present some images. So for those of you who are tuning in audio, an audio podcast, be sure to come back to the video one later if you're looking for what we're talking about. But we'll do our best to describe things for you in case you're like driving or whatnot. Let me find this window. Here we go. Open with
W Zalero.
All right, here we go. Sharing. How we looking? All right, can everybody see this?
Dude, that's freaking sick, bro.
This is that picture from Arizona that I took. It was in like this, it's hard to describe. I was in a neighborhood essentially. And so there's like parking lights and all kinds of stuff. So it was lighting up the tree. I didn't light paint or anything. I just worked with the environment, and that was the eclipse there hanging out, that little red thing. I wanted so badly to get it to be up by the tree. It was so close, but I couldn't get high enough, and I should have climbed on somebody's roof. That would have done it.
I'm surprised you didn't just do like a composite.
Oh, like scooted along.
Yeah, but I appreciate the raw, realistic take on it.
It's about the authenticity, you know. I should, just to know what it looks like. It'd be easy enough to crop it out and scoot it up. Use a little bit of generative fill.
Yeah, exactly. That's an incredible photo. I love the little blurry foreground there, and then you got the nice trees in the back. Yeah, I like that.
Thanks, man. Yeah, did what I could. And like I said, this was 2018. So earlier on in my astrophotography career, I was kind of starting to figure things out. But and this was just with like a basic lens. You know, I really don't think that lens is very expensive. I think I shot this on a Canon 5D Mark III. I think that's what I was using at the time.
That's my camera.
Is you're the Mark III?
Well, not this one, but I still use mine.
Yeah, dude, it was a great camera.
I think it was 2012. It's a pretty old camera, but man, that thing is a workhorse.
For sure. Here, let's fast forward here. Here's one. Oops, snap. Go back. Here's just like a general close up. This one was taken, I think, with my 600 millimeter. If I zoom in, there we go. Here's a little more detail. You can see it kind of that red hue, that orangish hue. It tapers off into the white at the bottom, so that penumbra on the outside is kind of where the by the lower image, and the moon, as it gets darker, is closer to the center of the Earth's shadow at that point.
Dude, I'm so excited. Now I'm really hoping for some clear skies, man. I hope you didn't jinx us.
Never. Here's a different one. This is from a different night. I think oops, I keep hitting the scroll button. Sorry about that. I tried my best to do an exposure. And okay, this image is actually a really good example of this concept. And let me guys tell you, for those of you who are trying to do imagery of this, and maybe you haven't tried it before, when you're usually photographing the moon is so flippin' bright that you have to expose for the moon first. And then the stars at that point are completely blacked out. Because you have to like stop down your camera and make sure that you're letting less light through your camera to expose the surface features of the moon typically. And that renders the stars behind them way too dim to be resolved in the image. Lunar eclipses are different. You can actually expose for both the detail of the moon and the stars behind it, because they're kind of in a similar tier of intensity. It takes a little bit of work in post to kind of balance them out. So if you go into Lightroom or Photoshop, you can kind of balance them a little more. I think I did a little bit of work here to kind of boost the stars. But it is a nice advantage you have. You want to get a star field shot that's actually true to the moment. Those stars weren't added. I know some astrophotographers sometimes add stars behind. They'll take a star field and then put it behind the moon. This is true and native. So it's a pretty cool moment for you to be able to do that. Let me zoom in here for you guys so you can see a little more closer.
All natty, baby.
All natty.
That's cool.
It's kind of fuzzy once you get zoomed in, because the particular, I think this is with the 600 millimeter that I have. It's not the sharpest thing in the world, but it gets you there.
That's a beautiful photo, dude.
Thanks, man. This next one I have was an experiment. Have you ever heard of HDR moons, Tan? Have you ever done an HDR moon?
Mm-hmm.
This is the only one I've attempted. It's this one. It was during a lunar eclipse.
What does HDR stand for?
Good question. It stands for high dynamic range. And what that means, maybe you've heard of HDR TVs or HDR displays. Maybe that's a more common thing that you may have heard kind of out and about in the world. But what that means is that you have an image that accurately displays the brights, the mids, and the darks really well. A lot of times the brights and the darks in an image kind of get sacrificed to create good mids. We're talking about like tones and colors and intensities here. So we're going to get a little bit into the color science of imagery.
Yeah, let's do it.
But TVs and monitors, a lot of times, at least in the older days, 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, monitors were not very good at displaying a wide range of those intensities because just the technology of LEDs or liquid crystal displays and LCDs or just couldn't do a good job of it. But we've gotten better at that. And now we have all these HDR settings on our TVs that really allow clear brights to not be blown out and clear darks to not be lost and muddy. You get to see true blacks and true whites at the same time you're seeing the rest of the image really clearly. So when you can kind of combine all those three things, you see a beautifully resolved image, without having to lose any data or any quality. So what you can do is you kind of manufacture your own HDR image in post-production. So if you're doing the moon per se, in this case, I took several different exposures. One exposure, I think this one was 2. I did one exposure for the dark side of the moon it was 3. One for the dark, one for the middle range, and one for the brights. So I exposed them properly. So if you go to the individual images, the exposure for the dark side, the bright side of the moon is like way blown out. Like you can't see anything. But that's okay because you're going to sacrifice that part of it later. And then you kind of combine them all and like layer them and smush them together. And it takes the best from all three, the brights, the mids, and the darks. And this is what you get. And the cool thing is it makes it look 3D a little bit. Like if you look closely, you see the red from the eclipse, like the like refracted red light on the right side of the moon here. But you can also very sharply and clearly see the details on the bright side of the moon. You can see Tycho crater over there. It's so cool. So cool.
Dude, that's the prettiest photo I've ever seen in my life.
Right. Thank you, man. That's
seriously, that's freaking amazing.
High praise. This is the only time I've I think really nailed this. And there's a little bit of that glow on the left side from like the lens. It's just so fun.
Dude, that looks freaking awesome. Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I know that was like a very deep dive into what all that means, but when you're doing lunar photography, it's kind of one of those techniques you can do to take it to the next level other than just snapping a single frame. So if you want to challenge yourself, try to do an HDR shot during a partial lunar eclipse, because this is like halfway. You can see like the darker band. That's the penumbra, and then you get the umbra and the red part there. So you can kind of see the transition happening at this point. I suppose you could do it during the umbral phase, but it's kind of the same intensity across the whole part of the moon, But you could still do it. Cool. Well, moving on. I don't want to take too much time. This one. Can we see this? So that's a clock. So we're looking at a clock. This is in a local downtown near me, and I remember I was just recovering from COVID. This was 2022, and I remember I was like maybe on the last day of it, and I was like, okay, I can't miss the eclipse, so I like snuck out at 11 p.m. or something. Went into the downtown. I was the only one. There was like a couple people coming out of bars, and I'm out there with my camera. But down here in the corner here, let me zoom in for you guys. Down in the left corner, I keep doing this thing. Can't scroll. And down here, you'll see the moon is like way behind it. Now, I would have changed things for this image. If I was doing it today, I would have done it differently, but this is what I ended up with. So I did have to do an exposure for the sky, and an exposure for the clock, and then an exposure for the clock faces, because they were all different intensities. And this is, I guess, also an HDR image kind of created by me in post and combined. But you can see all the stars, you can see the lunar eclipse behind it, and the clock all at the same time. So it was a cool challenge photo. It was hard,
I like it a lot. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Love it.
I got two more. This next one. All right, can we see this?
Ooh, with the stars too.
This one was also a setting one. I forgot I did see another one like this. This one was I caught just at the end of its time. I think it was about to get cloudy or something, or it was like just about to hit the trees, and I was going to lose it. This is pretty low in the sky. I was just out of my front yard, literally. Just like those are the trees over my neighbor's house.
I love it.
And there it is. It's just really glowy, and you can kind of tell that light is sort of backlighting the trees. You know, when you expose that much and bump up your exposure, like that orange glow is kind of hitting the tree branches, which is kind of neat. So I like that one. Zoom in here a little bit. Again, you start to kind of lose the quality when you get this close, but it's a good wide shot.
Someone in the chat asked, are you using Photoshop or a different program?
Excuse me. I particularly use Lightroom for my photos. So if that answers the question,
yeah,
I usually like to just like some corrections, nothing like too extreme. I don't like to augment the photos unless it's like an HDR project, but I will go in and I'll bump the sliders a little bit, try to make it look as close to how I saw it as possible without it looking fake, you know? I don't like things to look like too artistic, but sometimes I'll go overboard on the artistic side, but I'll acknowledge like, hey, this is my artistic rendition of this, you know? I would hate to like make this look purple, you know, and then be like, oh yeah, I saw it like that, you know? Just not true. And the last photo, this is one of the earlier ones. Kind of a similar thing is to the clock, but not executed as well. That's just my camera, my Sony camera on my 70-200. I took a picture of this thing taking a picture. It was kind of like one of those photoceptions. But I remember this particular night, it was like 0 degrees. It was so cold. It was so cold.
So cool.
And we had like 5 inches of snow out there. So I remember being in my backyard and I was going in constantly. My camera almost froze. There was a layer of ice all over it because of the condensation. The heat was like condensing the water out of the air, and it was freezing. I remember I could only spend like a minute or two out there at a time, and I was going in. I think on my telescope, I was totally wimping out, but it was stupid cold. And I remember just getting this shot, and this was almost straight up. You know, I remember like being on the ground.
Straight up. Dude, I love that you have you implement all these different things in the foreground. That's something I don't think I did, and honestly, it's kind of inspiring. I think I'm gonna have to try something cool like that.
Yeah, there's always an outside of the box approach, and there's no wrong answers. You know, whatever is around you, like something that you set up. There's a tree, maybe. Whatever you can do to take to the next level. And again, taking advantage of the fact that the moon is normally really bright and now it's not very bright and you still get to see the same details, that gives you the chance to see other things in the frame. Stars, your camera, a tree branch, whatever it is. Like take advantage of it. So dude, find something cool, like put something neat put the milk sign in the foreground. You know? Yeah.
Put a can of Spam.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Have it coming out of the can. Like hold it up to it and just, you know.
Y'all making me want to get back into photography. Yeah, you should. This is a pretty good opportunity. Tenzin, I saw that you asked about Lightroom. Lightroom is pretty similar to Photoshop. I would say they're both from the same Adobe suite, so the same developer or whatever. But yeah, I would say it's honestly just preference. I think I would say Lightroom, in my opinion, is easy for like just editing a bunch of like batch photos. Like a night you have like 20 to 100 photos, you can edit them all pretty quickly. Photoshop, I would say, is more for like the nitty gritty if you really want to do some fancy stuff. But both tools are fine. I don't think there's a right or wrong.
Agreed. Yeah. Good analysis there. Yeah, it is Lightroom, kind of like the traditional photography development experience where you have to enter a physical room called a Lightroom where it's dark, or dark room, Lightroom, you know, it's kind of that is like the same, you know, similar experience. Um,
Yeah, you can probably use any program, to be honest. Like
mhm.
photographing the eclipse or the lunar eclipse, I feel like it's not too complicated. And as far as the editing goes, you're gonna have to do, in my opinion, pretty minimal editing. If you, and even if you spend a lot of time on it, it's like I just don't think you will have to.
Mhm. Yeah, it's basic photo adjustments, stuff that you would see those same parameters. Like if you go into your phone and you're editing a picture, you go into like the edit feature. It allows you to change a bunch of stuff. A lot of them you're like, what the heck is
Sliders.
even,
Mm-hmm.
white point and blacks and temperature and all that stuff. You don't see what is all this stuff, and you kind of fiddle with those different sliders. It's the same thing, just on your computer. So you kind of adjust all those things. You can adjust the curves and all these other things that are in there. That maybe give you some more nitty gritty, and you can get way more advanced with it if you want. But
Mm-hmm.
I try to stick to the basic stuff and just keep it simple, keep
Yeah.
it fun.
Um, One last thing I would say: don't overthink it. Keep it simple. You could 100% get a completely fine photo just right off the camera. Honestly, I feel like if you're gonna edit these lunar eclipses, if you're doing like HDR, yeah, you're gonna have to use Lightroom or Photoshop. But if you just want a nice solid photo, you can get it just straight off with your camera. So I always try to aim for doing as less work as I can in post. In other words, I want to nail the shot to be as good as possible on the camera. So if I need to tweak it, it's not going to be like a huge, it's not going to be super time consuming. Try to get a nice photo first, and then you'll have to do less work. Someone mentioned about HDR bracketing. I don't think bracketing is a bad idea.
Mhm.
Um, for me, it seems like whenever it's at the partial eclipse, like it's really bright on some parts, and then like the other side of the moon is kind of like darker. It could be bracketing may work. I personally just kind of like you have so much time that you can just really take your time and test out shots. You don't have like a 2-second window where you're like, oh, I gotta get this photo real quick. You have plenty of time to play around with the settings, snap it, zoom in, look at it, and say, okay, I need to adjust it, or no, this is good. So yeah, I would say this upcoming eclipse is a good opportunity if you're wanting to experiment and try something new. You have
Mhm.
plenty of time to learn, and most importantly, just have fun with it.
Um, Really quick, I realized I had another photo I pulled up that is not the total lunar eclipse. It's another partial, but it's just a snap. And I
Hmm.
want to share that really quick because these kinds of photos I think get underappreciated. So let me showcase this. Can you guys see that well? Um,
Mm.
this is just a basic image of the eclipse happening as it's starting to take over the moon. So no reds. This is not in the umbra. This is the penumbra starting to take over. So this is what you'll see in the sky. Um, in a similar way, maybe not exactly like this. The shadow might be at a different part. But it looks kind of weird. Like in this case, like based on where this is, the shadow during a crescent would be coming from the left or the right. But it's coming from the top, which is like super weird. Um, but it's worth appreciating these moments too. So this is just maybe what the beginning of the partial would look like. So set your expectations because it is still cool.
Yeah.
Um, and I wanted to address to Joe. You asked a question in the chat. How long were your exposures in the photos with just the moon? And really quick, I'm pulling up some stuff in Lightroom and looking at my EXIF data. One during, it looks like it's like a 90% complete lunar eclipse at my 600 millimeter. I know I'm adjusting the settings constantly because you need to adjust it because the intensity of the moon is changing at
Mm-hmm.
all times. So you do need to move with it. So there is no one lunar eclipse setting, but at a mostly full state, it looks like I was at 600 millimeters with my lens shooting at f6.3, which is as wide open as that lens can go at that focal length, with an ISO of 2000 and a shutter speed of 1/6, so 1/6 of a second. And that's not necessarily correct. It's just what I took for that particular shot. And I know as I've shot eclipses, I've been all over the place with settings. You just got to figure it out. I would say the biggest thing I'd be concerned about is making sure that you're careful with your shutter, because It is a darker moon, so your shutter will need to be slower, but that means there's more room for movement. The moon is technically moving. If you bump your camera, you'll get wobble and it'll be blurry. So trying to focus on the crispness of the detail of the moon during that darkest part, during the umbral part, being very careful with the stability of your camera. That'd be a pro tip that I would give.
Yep. Tripod. And again, the settings are going to be different for everyone. Everyone's going to be using a different camera. So just play around with it. Someone said, flash. Yeah, flash won't do anything, but just take your time and experiment. Like I said, this is a good opportunity to just play around. Like if you try taking a photo and you're like, oh my God, I can't see anything, then just adjust some parameters. If it's too bright, then you're like, okay, my shutter speed or my ISO is too high. So yeah, just have fun with it, experiment.
Quick side note, I've been noticing the viewership has been spiking here and there, kind of up into the 20s a couple times. For those of you who are just tuning in, welcome to the show. This is the Galactic Window Space Podcast. I'm Nick, and this is Tan. We host this space and astronomy podcast every Monday night at 9 p.m. Central Time. And our hope is that you get connected a little bit more to the night sky just by tuning into the episode. We've got a big community who shows up every single week in the live chat here on YouTube and on Twitch. And it's just a good time where we get to hang out together and learn about space. We also have guests from time to time where we get to interview people and of astronomical influence, and they get to share with us their view through the galactic window, hence the name of the show, where it's kind of their unique experience or how space has kind of challenged them to identify with the night sky in a different way. So yeah, that's what we do. And we're grateful for all of you tuning in here. So I know there's a couple names here I'm not familiar with. So shout out to all you guys.
Jones figured it out. He figured it out. Holy crap. No
Yo. way. $50 super sticker coming in from Artie Jones in the chat. Massively appreciated as always.
Wow.
Keeping the show alive on the back end. Anybody who chooses to support financially, which is not required at all. It's just extremely generous and we're grateful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. W's in the chat for Artie Jones. Always.
W's in the chat. And yeah, I'm seeing a lot of new faces too. So yeah, welcome in, guys. Also just know that, again, we stream every Monday night at 9 p.m. Central. And if you guys miss it, it's okay. You can always come back to watch all of the episodes on YouTube and now on all major audio platforms as well. So whether you're on Amazon, Apple, or Spotify, or any of the other weird ones out there, you can find us.
I like Richard Jones saying, I may be old, but not brain dead yet. I think the term experienced is really, that's all it is. You're experienced. And that's a good thing. I appreciate experience. Man, yeah, it's been a blast talking about lunar eclipses, dude. Do you have pictures?
Yeah, I do. I am just ready to get out there and start imaging, to be honest.
Chat, I want you guys to just blow up the live chat right now. Please just shout, Tan, show us your pictures in all caps. Just let's make him, force him into it. I want to see his shots.
All right. Yo, I was refraining from mentioning this on the podcast, but I'm pretty sure I put in my contacts. I got the left and right switched up. So I've just been seeing mostly double this entire time.
Oh no.
And it's gotten to the point where I'm like, it's too late to say something, but I'm like, you know what? I've got to adjust this. So after I try to look at these photos, I've got to take a quick 2-minute break.
Dude, go take it now. You probably need to see your photos the right way, man. Appreciate your photos.
I can mostly see right now.
Your photos are going to be angry at you.
Well, as long as you guys can see it. Okay.
I mean, seriously, dude, if you need to take the time, please do. I can hold down the fort.
Okay, yeah, I'll be right real quick.
Yeah, go do it, man. Tan will be right back. Everybody, it's just me. It's Nick. It's no more Tan. He can't see nothing. Joe Mama 4104 on Twitch showing up. How's it going? Welcome to the show. Good to see you all here. Tanix, good to see you. Good to see you. Ash Trash. Should I bring up the what up trash Should I resurrect that? Don't bring him back, says Ash Trash. Alex, how's it going, man? Tiffy, what are your plans for the eclipse, Nick? That's a fantastic question. I'll be home. I won't be traveling, so I'll be in Illinois. I'm gonna do my best to just capture it in my yard if I can. We'll see how it goes. It's Wednesday into Thursday night, so yeah, as far as I can see, I'll just be here. I'll get my my stuff ready and see what I can do. I'll have my 600mm lens ready to go. I'm just gonna get it on a tripod and try to image it if I can. But maybe I should get creative. I wonder if there's a foreground that I can try to get. Who knows? Gifted 1 Orbital Alliance membership. Thank you so much. Let's see who received it. Foxy Roxy was gifted a membership. She's the one who received it. Sweet. Thank you so much, Richard, for throwing it in, supporting the community. For those of you guys who do receive a membership, you get that little star next to your name. That star changes colors for every extra month that you are a member on the channel. You get bonus emojis to use in the chat, so be sure to check those out and use those. We're due for a change out of those. I think we should put some new ones in there. Also, I'm going to be doing custom icons. So we're going to get rid of the stars soon, and they're going to be specific to the galactic window. So I'm pretty excited there. You also get special privileges, like opportunities to be on the show. And a couple of them that I'm excited about that I think I mentioned before, but if we have a guest on and we do a live Q&A, you get to come on the show for a quick second and ask certain guests your questions. So with those like big ticket, like people come on the show, it's gonna be super cool. I don't want to spoil too much, but there's perks to being members for sure, but not required. Another gifted one. Oh my goodness. Keep them coming. Holy smokes. This is wild. Tanner, you back? I'm going to bring you in here. Sorry.
We're all good, baby.
Yeah.
We're all good. Dude, I just got these contacts in, and usually they mark like which one's the left or right eye. And they didn't, so I kind of just guessed, and I thought it was good at first, but quickly realized that I was seeing doubles.
Oh man.
And I was already so invested in the show. I'm like, dude, I'm just gonna carry on.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna feel so much better now for the rest of the time.
Yeah, I can actually see. All right.
Dude, Ash Trash just received a membership from Artie Jones.
Let's go.
And Foxy Roxy did as well. We got a couple gifteds in here.
Holy crap. Okay.
Another one coming in. Oh my gosh.
2 subs and a
3 now, dude.
3 and a, oh my god.
Is it 3? Yeah, 3.
It's the moon coming, man. It's making people act a little funky.
Dude, these are like RBIs, like base hits that are going to add up to an RBI for Artie Jones. You can have some
Thank
gifted
you so much.
Statistics coming in. Seriously,
Wow.
thank you.
Okay, so let me figure out how to share this here. I don't have too many photos, but I've got a few.
Yeah,
Okay.
dude. Showcase. Here comes the tan showcase, everybody. Again, if you're listening on the audio, be sure to come back around to the video podcast on YouTube. Watch the replay.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm sharing a photo, but is it
Another gifted from Richard Jones. Who got this one?
Whoa.
Blue-eyed got it.
You get a sub. You get a sub.
Yeah.
You get a sub.
Everyone gets subs. It's like Oprah.
Okay. Slides and how do I present just a folder? Do I just go to share screen?
So what I
Let's try
did,
that.
I'm on a Mac, so I just highlighted them all, opened them all in preview, and then so you could do that
Okay.
in like Explorer, I think, and
Okay.
show you like the Explorer window because you're on your PC right now, right?
Yeah. Okay. I got it. I think. Okay, here we go.
All right, re-upping. Here we go. Yeah, I can see your Explorer window, and then you should just be able to like arrow over.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna have to share the actual photo because.
Mm-hmm.
So let me try this.
Yeah, no worries. It wouldn't let you do 5 at a time. Weird. Okay. Strange.
Okay, can you see this?
I can see that, yeah.
All right. So
Kaboom.
I don't remember when these photos were, but again, this is kind of like what you're seeing whenever it's mostly red, and then there's a tiny sliver of the really bright edge of the moon there.
I wonder if this is the same image that I was just looking at for myself, but we were imaging the same. What's the date
almost the same thing. I
Is
basically
that
I just saved your photo and added it to mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is mine because it says Eclipse 1.
Eclipse 1.
Eclipse 1.
That's like Eclipse 1 final V1
V2, yeah.
Yeah.
I had a few iterations. All right.
Yeah.
So this is my version of trying the
Dude.
composite.
What?
Yeah, this was one where I was talking about how it was really cloudy, and I was like, "Oh no, we're not gonna be able to see anything." But I stayed there, and I was like, "You know what? You just gotta be patient." So
That's crazy.
this is the HDR.
That's
I think
so cool.
Yeah, it might be a composite, meaning it might be two separate photos. I might have exposed for just the red, and then I also exposed for the bright, but I also exposed for this side too, because you can kind of see a little bit of detail in there.
Mm-hmm. Dang, dude. Oh, that's
Thank
so
you.
freaking awesome.
We got some star photos, and I think I added the spikes in there. I was kind of experimenting, and I was a big fan of the star refraction spikes.
Those little sprites or
twinkle.
spikes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful, dude.
Thank you. This is just out because what was I saying? Stacking. So there is a technique where you can stack multiple images and combine it into one. So if you look really closely, you can see the stars. You can see them trail in there. If you can see it in the background, but
yep,
just the moon. And then here is that same night where it was kind of cloudy.
Dude, that's so awesome. Holy cow.
Solo Dolo, welcome in.
Solo Dolo.
Solo Dolo.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Hardy Jones dropping in the ones.
Another
here.
one?
Oh yeah, it's been like 6 in a row.
crap.
I think. Deep Sky Dude got a membership earlier. Ariel G just got a membership. Welcome to the club. Good to have y'all here.
Thank you so much. That's crazy.
Some of you guys might be lurking. We appreciate the lurks.
Yeah. Love cloudy moons. Yeah, as much as most astronomers complain about the clouds, sometimes it does make a really interesting foreground or composition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Hey, I always love the phrase. I brought this up before in the show. And again, I don't know who the actual quote is from, but every problem is an opportunity in disguise, dude. Right?
That's from Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Ling Ling. Oh, government name. Shh. I don't want people to know.
Oh my gosh, dude! Thanks for sharing those. Those were sick.
Yeah, likewise.
You're making me hope that it's semi-cloudy next week.
Yeah, if you guys are watching or listening to this, here's your sign. Get your camera out. I mean, even with your phone, you don't have to have the world's best camera. Just ideal conditions: clear skies, no clouds, and preferably somewhere where there's not too many obstructions, and you'll get a cool photo.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I can see so much better now.
Dude, I mean,
this is crazy.
Smart choice, dude, to just like get it fixed, you know?
Yeah, I think we were at least 40 minutes in, maybe 50 minutes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Goodness gracious. I'm like starting to catch up on something here really quick. Hang on. Sorry if I'm like a little bit half lapsed here.
Yeah, I'm going to read some of these comments here.
Yep.
I haven't photographed lunar eclipses much, but I have a decent close-up. Nice.
Okay. Can't do anything about that. Let's see.
Is it tonight? You got some time. March 13th.
Yeah.
It's going to start at 11. Was it 11 or 11:50 p.m. Central Time?
Something like that. Yep.
Again, guys, I highly recommend going to timeanddate.com. You can input your exact coordinates, and it'll tell you exactly what time and your location too. So that's going to give you the best answer of anything else.
If you guys do see it and you do capture any images, or if you even just post about it, maybe you didn't even capture something about it, but you just post a video talking about it or sharing your experience, be sure to tag us in it because we want to know how it went for you guys. Here's our social handles. You can find us on all the major social platforms.
Hit us up.
Yeah, hit us up. Like, the best part about us talking about this tonight is we can all get excited about it together. You don't have to be a professional. You don't have to have the best gear. All you need to do is like look up and then let us know what it meant to you, you know?
Yeah. Look.
You okay there, Tan?
What is going on?
Yeah.
This is crazy. He's like, you know what? Now that I figured it out, I'm going all out.
Yeah. Tiffy dropping the data here. I'm going to pull this up for everybody on the screen. So here's all the timestamps for everybody. So if you do want to see the visual, it is on the screen. And you can
totality is the part that you guys don't want to miss. All right, that's the part where the moon's going to be red. But I would say if you can catch either the beginning or the end of the penumbral and the partial. Richard Jones, seriously, thank you so much. I don't know how many memberships we got on top of that. 2, 4, 6, 7.
Yeah.
7 gifted memberships.
7 gifted memberships.
And a 50 super sticker.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Zaliro had a $5 donation, and Tamara also a new member. So, yeah. What a night.
Yeah, I'm going to try to think if there's anything loose ends about lunar eclipses that we're sharing, but I figured it might be worth talking about this is the little thing I teased at the front end of the episode, man. Dude, I had a dream about the moon the other day.
Tell me more.
Maybe like 2 days ago. Or was it yesterday morning?
Let's hear about it.
There's not much to it, but dude, I want to ask you this, Tan. Have you had a dream where you've ever been in space?
No, I wish.
I've had several of them, and they're almost always semi-lucid. Like, they feel very real to me, and they are very clear, and just I almost feel like I do have some level of control of them. Not like full, like I'm aware or conscious, but they are some of the most like visceral experiences for me. And I remember a handful of them in my life in recent years in particular, but I had one 2 days ago. It was a very, very brief moment. And I'm not going to be able to verbalize it the best way, because obviously I can't, like, if I had a Neuralink chip that could visualize or project the thing that I saw into the screen, I would show all of you guys right now. It's just not going to happen. But I thought I'd share
as best as you can. Yeah,
I'm gonna do my best. I thought it'd be worth talking about because we're talking about the moon tonight, and I was like, this is on theme, this is on brand. Let's make it happen. I was on a vehicle, and I think at first I thought it was a train or a bus, but then I found out it was like, I think some kind of like a space plane, and I was a passenger. And I remember looking out the window. It was nighttime, and I to the best of my ability, I thought it was Earth. But I looked out the window to my right, and I saw a building. It was like a white building. It looked kind of like a futuristic, like airport terminal, almost like if you were taxiing away on a plane on the tarmac, and you look out the window and you see. But it was very much. It was dark. It was like very, very dark. But then there was this white building lit up with artificial lights, and it was beautiful. And it was very long, lots of windows, but like tiny little windows. And I'm like, where the heck am I? And then I looked at the other side, and it was the same thing, but it was like different shapes. And there's a really cool, like, sweeping buildings. And it was just the buildings that were lit up. Everything else around it was pitch black. And then for some reason, there was a moment in my dream where it hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in space. This is not Earth. Like, I'm on the moon right now. And I realized it was on the moon at night. It was like a night part. It was like the only light we could get was the artificial light from the buildings. And I was on a space plane about to take off, from the moon to like go right out. And that's all I saw. That's it. That's the only part of the dream I remember, because I'm pretty sure my kid woke me up and I was really upset about missing out on the rest of the dream. But literally, like, I had this dream, and let me tell you, the feeling that I had was crazy. And this is the same feeling I get whenever I have these space dreams. And it is this like penetrative, visceral is also the word. It's a very real, and I feel it in my chest. It's really weird. Like, it's a good feeling. It's like a deep desire, and I had it yesterday. And it was and that feeling was interpreted by my brain as this is actually happening. I am there kind of thing. And I woke up being like, I almost confidently could say I've been to the moon. I know what it's going to look like in the future on the moon. Like, this is what it's going to look like. This is what it's going to feel like to like take off from some kind of vehicle off the surface of the moon, when we have a colony, when it's established, when there's actually buildings and it's commonplace to go to and from the moon. I feel like I've been there, dude.
Could be a premonition. Maybe you have.
Like, what? It was so cool. And it could be a premonition, maybe a glimpse into the future, or even perhaps a glimpse into an alternate Nick.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the thing, is it's not the first time this has happened to me. It's kind of weird.
You know what I want to say, right?
I know exactly what you want to say.
It's woo-woo.
Yeah. There
Dude, it is. Don't even get me started, man. So I think you should take it a step further and try to become more lucid. Mm-hmm. There's just something about lucid dreaming that is extremely it's really gnarly. All right, I've had parallel universe Nick living the dream. It might be. Yep. All right. Yep. This is a rabbit hole, but here's my take on lucid dreams and what you're experiencing. Mm-hmm. I've only had 2 lucid dreams happen, and they were still to this day one of the coolest things ever. I got to fly. Mm-hmm. And when I tell you, the moment I realized that I was in a dream, I said, wait a second, I'm going to dream. I'm going to fly. And I remember looking up and then just saying, I'm about to fly. I went like this, and I just yeeted up in the air.
Yo,
I felt my face so freaking cold. I felt my eyes getting dry. I felt my cheeks, like, blowing against the wind. Uh-huh. I will never be able to fly like that. But if, hypothetically, I had the ability to actually fly, I know exactly what it feels like. Mm-hmm. Dude, everything you felt, I'm sure it's exactly what it would probably be like, maybe, if you were on the moon. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess if we're getting technical, you probably didn't have a spacesuit on. I don't know. But I guess what I'm trying to say is there's a good chance of whatever you were feeling, there might be some truth to it. If we're going to go the woo-woo route.
Uh-huh. Peter Tan.
I don't know how to reply to that.
Oh my gosh. That's pretty good. Yeah.
That's so cool though, man.
It is weird. And it's like when we all say that phrase, oh, it's my dream to be this thing, right? Like it's like when I was a kid, I used to, it's been my dream to be a superstar ever since I was a kid. We use that terminology all the time. Like this is actually the moment. This is one of those moments of like I've always dreamed of going to space. I have dreamed it, and it's felt real. Like, and I know that if I get to go there one day, I'm going to feel that same feeling. It's going to happen, and it's going to be the same experience. And I think I'm going to freak out in the best way possible. That is to me like that's a life complete kind of moment. Like if I get to actually perceive with my physiology that same feeling when the final piece of the puzzle goes in. And I know it's not the final thing, because I mean you still have life after these moments, but you know what I mean? Like when you finish the race, doesn't mean it's your last race, but you finish this race, like dang, that is gonna be nuts. And I hope that feeling is real and it can be perceived.
Yeah. So cool, man. Yeah, I really want you to try to become lucid and see if you can take it a step further. It's a really fascinating thing.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta tell you though, dude, just like the thought of being on the moon, I have spent actual stacked numbers of minutes thinking about it, and trying to understand what it would feel like, and being able to see Earth, and knowing that Earth is roughly 4 times larger than our moon. So if you were to, from Earth, if you go outside on a clear night and you see the moon, imagine the moon 4 times larger, and then you swap it out for a picture of the Earth, like what that would feel like as a human being who's only ever known the moon in the sky, whose entire species for all of time that the humans have existed have only known that the moon is in the sky, to finally have this chance to see it. Only what is it, 12 people? Or is 12 people have walked? 12 people have walked on the moon, but not counting the people who have been also in the lunar module, like on orbit, like the pilot that's also going around. So whatever the number is, 3 times 6, so 18 people. I hope my math is accurate on that. Have seen the Earth from that perspective, and that's only within the last 50 plus years. So like, it's like DNA augmenting experience. And when I think about the possibility that you could vacation on the moon in probably a couple centuries, I'm literally, I'm at a loss for words right now, because I'm trying my best to interpret what's with the feeling that's like soaring through me right now. It's like I want to fight to the end. I want to die on that hill to make that happen. I don't know where to begin.
Same. That's I mean, it's pretty gnarly to. I can imagine what it would be like just to actually physically be on the moon. But there's some really interesting comments here. Richardson said, saw a documentary about island people who can control their dreams so it can be learned. Yeah, controlling your dreams is definitely a thing. Like, I actually tried, I got really into learning how to lucid dream for a while, and I kind of just gave up and stopped. But like I said, man, I think you should make it kind of a goal, maybe at some point this year, to really dive in and try to get in tune with while you're experiencing yourself on the moon. That's such a really cool thing, and I actually kind of envy that you're having that, because first of all, I hardly remember my dreams. I feel like I remember a dream once or maybe twice, like every 2 weeks. And if I do remember, it's always something like random and very uninteresting. I would love to be in space. So figure out how to become lucid and take control, man. Enjoy your time up there.
I will.
And tell us all about it.
For sure. I will report. I dream every night, like guaranteed. And I usually remember them really well. Have we talked about this? I can't remember.
No, but that's so cool, man. I'm jealous that people can do that.
I dream every night. I usually have multiple dreams. So depending on whatever like dips in and out of like REM sleep and deep sleep happens, I know that usually when I wake up, I can remember all of it. And I know for a fact my dreams get stored, even though I forget them. Like maybe I can't recall the dreams I had like 2 days ago or something. I will randomly remember dreams at random moments throughout my day, give or take. And they usually happen in a sequence. So like I might be just driving and I'll remember, why am I remembering that one dream from probably like 8 years ago that I completely forgot about, would never have been able to consciously recall? It will just occur to me. And then if I focus on that dream and I'm thinking about it, it will connect to a different dream that I've forgotten. And then now I'm remembering. And then it will do that sometimes 3 or 4 times. I'll remember a sequence of locations. Usually it's the locations of where I was in a specific dream. And it will like reconstruct the world temporarily in my mind. And that all sounds like super crazy. I know I'm sounding absolutely insane right now, but it's 100% true. And I've talked about it with people in my life where I'm like, dude, like, why does this just happen? Like sometimes I'll just, my brain archive will open up for no reason. and just like I'll start going through, I'll be like walking through. It's like pulling books off a shelf and be like, huh, oh yeah, I remember reading this book. Oh yeah, I remember reading this one, and just putting it back on the shelf. It's usually pretty quick. But I'm like, I completely forgot about that. Otherwise, I would never be able to actively recall it. So yeah, dreams are like a really deep part. And people in my dreams too. There are a lot of times like people that I know, like who are just like active in my life, will show up in recurring roles, and it's pretty cool, to kind of get to see. I don't know, experience life with people in a weird way. And usually a lot of times they're like very quick interactions with people, but they're there. And it's always, I know it's always like a really comforting thing when I see people I know in my dreams. I feel like no one's ever a threat. It's always like, oh, there's that person, it's weird.
Bro's daydreaming.
Yeah.
You should keep a journal and log the dreams. That's what I do.
I need to do it. I need to
the fact that you can recollect it so well it's really fascinating. I can only do that if I like reread them, but I have dreams dated back like 10 years ago, and if I start reading them, it'll take me back to that exact moment. And similar to what you were saying, sometimes when you think about one dream, it'll take you to another one, and it's very interesting.
Yeah. Did you ever see the Pixar movie Inside Out?
Is that the emotions?
Yes.
Yeah. I've seen the first one.
Yeah, and the second one came out last year. Very, very beautiful movies. Very emotional.
It's a great movie.
But also those movies kind of hit home in a weird way. I think as an adult, you kind of realize the seriousness of the nature of them, and it can actually be a little bit triggering, especially if you've like got like traumas in your life. But like it is an excellent visual representation of what happens in the mind and how it stores memories and experiences, and how your emotions interact with those. And they represent memories as these orbs, and they get categorized by colors, and then they get sorted into these archives in this kind of like big, fantasy world that's inside the mind of the main character. And I feel like that's very, very, it's probably overly simplified, but also deadly accurate. And sometimes I feel that's how it is. Like I kind of pull these orbs off my shelf and I put them on the viewer, and it's like, I can see this thing again. Like it never went away. It's just in the deep nethers of the mind. It's still there. And I wish we could tap into it more actively,
Maybe you can. Sounds like you already have I don't know. Again, this is a little woo-woo, but it sounds like you might have some potential to do something else with what you have. I don't know. I feel like the Foxy mentioned the fact that we even dream is insane. I think it's such a strange thing. Like even if you were to describe it, because sometimes it's, I don't know. I just don't know how you would describe it. It's just a dream, right? But yeah, man, it sounds like you might be manifesting or living a parallel universe or something. I mean, who knows?
I hope. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Man. Okay, I just had a fleeting thought. Maybe it'll come back to me again. It's happening to me a lot. I'm kind of scatterbrained right now.
What if this is the dream?
This?
Right now, yeah.
I hope it is. And to some degree, to awaken maybe to a different reality, maybe one that's slightly more hopeful, or I don't know, less burdened.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Have you ever had a dream that was so real where you almost like you kind of like it kind of spills into real life? Like an example, I remember as a kid, I dreamt that I got a new bike. Like it was like, I think my dad bought me a new bike. It was this red shiny bike, and it was sitting in the garage. But I remember like when I woke up, I just remember being super excited and like running to the garage, like, oh dude, I'm gonna ride this thing. There was no bike. There was never a bike. And I'm like, Dad, like, where's my bike? Like the one you bought me. But I just remember being so real that I was almost certain that it was there. Like you couldn't have convinced me that I didn't just get a nice ass red bike.
Right.
And it was only until everyone was telling me that I was going crazy and I dreamt about it. Yeah. I realized like, oh, it was a dream.
That's crazy. Wow. Yeah, I don't know if I've had something happen on that level. I would say maybe the closest thing for me is like sometimes like, you know, when you're younger and you're in school or whatever, like you'll have a dream about somebody and maybe like in the dream you kind of have like an infatuation with someone. And then you know them in real life, and then you like go to school the next day and you see that person and you kind of like maybe like a crush on that person for like a day or two because you had this dream and you're like, oh my gosh, like do they know? Like, like I was hanging out with them.
I dreamt about you.
Yeah.
I just like, tell them and then freak them out.
Yeah. Well, I definitely feel I definitely feel like that's happened to me a lot. I've dreamt about somebody and maybe I had like an infatuation, and it's like I have to like cool my jets in real life like the next day. So I'm like, I gotta like, oh gosh, like that was not real. That was a dream, dude.
Yeah, that dream got intense too. Yeah. Real quick, just like I'm gonna interject real quick. I'm seeing a lot of new faces in here. Let's see. There was Johnny. I saw you in here. Narwhal, Puppet. Yeah, if you guys are new here, welcome in. We were talking about the upcoming lunar eclipse, and then maybe it was just a dream that we were talking about that.
I think it was.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what's going on. Is this real? Dude, I dreamt that I couldn't see, and I had put on my contacts incorrectly, but it was right the whole time. I actually see worse right now. What a trip.
I gotta get me one of those, man.
Do it. Just dream about it. Maybe you'll manifest it.
Can we do a whole episode that's in that, just where you and I it's a dream episode?
Yeah.
Episode 40 and a half.
Yeah. I'm so down. There's so many good comments. I'm just going to take the time just to read some of these real quick, if you don't mind.
Please do.
I'm going to start with Celestial here. The neuroscience behind dreaming and looking at what centers of the brain are lit up depending on types of dreams and subject matter of the dream are fascinating. I agree. That's like, dude, we could do a whole. You know what? We'll have to find like a dream specialist, a neurologist.
Yeah.
Vivid dreams feel so emotionally intense and real because the same parts of your brain that process sensory information when you're awake are active. Agreed. This is why sometimes you'll hear people joking that they'll have their significant other cheat on them, and they'll wake up from that dream like, "The hell, dude! You did that!" Like you carry on those emotions, similar to whenever you were experiencing your like semi-lucid dream in space or me flying. I felt my face like cold. You know, I felt exactly what it would be like.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's wild.
Very interesting.
That yeah,
This is so funny.
I've heard too that like sometimes when you have really intense dreams, it's because there's leftover stuff that you didn't actually do the work to process in that day. So, you know, like maybe something stressful happened, and you actually didn't do the work to actually embrace or lean into those emotions, whether like anger or sadness or whatever, excitement. And your brain is actually just trying to do the leftover work. It's like you had a party and everyone left a bunch of red Solo cups everywhere. Now it's got to somehow figure out how to reset the room back to normal. Sometimes that's what dreams end up being. It's like it's just cleaning up the mess, you know. I missed that comment that was featured here. Was that Johnny Rocks?
It was a solid comment.
A dream when I woke up on the floor.
I've had this happen too, for sure.
Yikes.
Do you ever, dude, I always listen to music when I fall asleep. And sometimes I'll hear that music in my dream.
Sure.
And like, that's when it's really, really cool. Dude, you know what? I'm going to try to have a crazy dream tonight. Look, this might be a little woo-woo, but I'm going to set the intention. I'm going to try to be very specific on what I want to dream about and how I'm going to dream about it. You know, like, I'm just going to be very specific. I'm going to try it. And yeah.
You need to find a bunch of songs
Okay.
that have the word dream like in the title or in the lyrics, like dreams, but like cranberries or something like that. Just get really literal and see what happens.
Yeah. There's like guided meditations and dream like sounds that you can listen to on YouTube.
Who here was a 90s kid that grew up with Dexter's Laboratory and the episode with the omelette du fromage episode?
Omelette du fromage.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He wanted to learn French. And he put it on like it was like a record player or something, and he put headphones on in his sleep to try to like internalize it, but it ended up
omelette
skipping.
Du fromage.
And all it said was omelette du fromage. It was just like cheese omelet. And so when he woke up, the only words he could speak were omelette du fromage, and then omelette du fromage, and he's just like screaming everything.
Dude, I missed that show.
W. Dexter.
Dexter's Laboratory.
Yeah.
Does anyone get the feeling of falling down right before y'all fall asleep and then wake up from it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's real.
I wonder what it's from. Also, my first sleep paralysis in a while happened recently. It was so scary. It's terrifying.
The falling one is super common.
Is that where sometimes people are like...
Yeah.
Or is that...
It's the sensation that you're like falling forward. Usually like right about as you're within minutes of you falling asleep. And I've read about it so many times, and at the same time, I can't remember what the actual explanation is. So I'd be a fraud. I'd be a phony if I claimed to have a good explanation for it.
It means you're crazy.
Yeah, right. But I do know.
We're all crazy.
I do know that that's happened to me before.
Mm-hmm. Have you experienced sleep paralysis?
What is that?
And let me know if I'm wrong, but from my understanding, it's basically a process where your body's shutting down to put it in a state of paralysis, so you don't move around when you sleep. So it happens every time you sleep, but when you experience it, it means that you are still awake. So you're subconsciously awake, and you're awake while your body's shutting down, and you can't move and you can't speak, but for some reason, it always feels like there's just some kind of pressure or demonic entity is my best way of understanding it. It's a very terrifying thing, but there seems to be a case of people experiencing some kind of like dark or really heavy entity, and it creeps up on you, and it just kind of like suffocates you.
What?
Every time I've woken up from sleep paralysis, it was me gasping for air.
Whoa.
Let me know in the chat if you guys have had similar experiences. But yeah, from my understanding, it's your body shutting down, which is what it does every time you fall asleep. It's like a safety mechanism, so you don't accidentally like run around or do something scary, right?
Like dogs when they like jump up and like run and slam into a wall when they're sleeping. You ever seen those videos?
Yeah. But it's terrifying.
I don't know if I've ever experienced this. If I have, I don't remember it, and I certainly didn't know what it was called. But it sounds freaking terrifying.
Mm-hmm. That's life-saving. You're not breathing properly or too much pressure in your heart. Yes, from experience, I got very tingly, like like TV static feeling. Then you can't see, but you can't move or say anything at all. It feels like you're being held down. Exactly. It's terrifying because you feel like there's some kind of demon that's like basically holding you down. And the worst part is you literally can't scream. You can't like yell for help because you are in paralysis.
What?
So the only thing you can do is literally, for me, from what I remember, is just move my eyes and panic. It's literally it's a little nightmare. It sucks, dude.
Oh my god, dude.
The black witch on the chest entity. You know what? I'm sure there's probably very spiritual and like woo-woo explanations for that. But yeah, it seems like it all points to the same entity, dark witch thing.
I swear, if this happens to me tonight, I'm blaming all y'all.
Dude, just think positive thoughts, man. Just think about space and video games and spam. Yeah.
And Taco Bell, yeah. Oh.
Taco Bell on the moon. Imagine that. Imagine drinking a Baja Blast, eating a Gordito Crunch Supreme in the crater.
Ooh.
Try wiggling your toes. Okay.
Here's a question for you, Tan, and this is also for everybody in the chat who's watching. I see 21 of you watching right now on all the platforms. Please chime in with your opinion, because I want to know. If you had the opportunity to name a crater on the moon, and let's say the crater is a pretty big crater. It's not like miles wide, but it's like, maybe about the size of maybe the average house property. It's big, but not like a tiny little, not like a dinner plate size crater, but like pretty big. What would you name it? What would you name your crater? Because they got like a lot of craters are named after famous astronomers or scientists, people who've made discoveries.
I think I would just name it after me, just my name, Tan. This is a Tan crater.
Tan crater.
Yeah.
Tiffy crater.
Yeah. Why not?
Market's hole.
Oh, that's not. Yeah, why not?
Yep.
I mean, there's some really interesting names. Yeah. What about you?
I'm pondering it. I asked that question whilst being unprepared myself. So I'm mulling it over, and I will definitely have an answer shortly. Goodness.
Bunhole?
Oh no! Wait.
No.
Beavis and Butthead here in the chat. Hey, Beavis.
Now I just want to take my shirt and put.
Please do it,
dude. No. We gotta watch that wasn't there a movie where they're in space?
Is there really? Oh,
I think so. I think it was just their main Beavis and hold on. It wasn't just part of their movie, Beavis and Butthead to America.
To America, yeah. I have never seen it, but you'd have to inform me. But I just saw a clip of my TikTok feed from that show, and
dude,
they go up to like this school and they knock on the door and it's locked and they try to get in. They're like, it's locked. It's and then they're like, it's like, and then Butthead goes, he's like, oh, maybe it's like spring break or something. And then it's like pans out to the school and there's like Christmas wreaths on it. And the sign says like closed for like Christmas or closed for the holidays or something.
Dude, that's like so funny.
Spring break.
Why is your impression so good? So check it out. There's Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe.
No.
Yeah, we have to watch this.
Watch party. Oh no.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
Literally tears of laughter. Oh my gosh.
Good times. All right, y'all. We're gonna watch this on our next watch party.
What has this episode devolved into? I don't know.
Lunar Eclipse. Put it on. Yeah, we'll just cue it up.
We won't get banned from the platforms. Ooh. Dude, this water just splashed in my eye. I just took a sip. It went back in the cup, splashed up. It went right in my eye, and then I almost did a spit take because I was laughing.
Is it the sparkly water?
Yeah. And no, it's my normal. It's just normal water.
I've never watched Beavis and Butthead. But my uncle used to call me and my cousin that.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. That's how you know he really loved you.
Cool. Well, let's Too good, man.
Sorry. I'll stop now.
No. Just sprinkle them in and I like it.
Yep.
Well, I was going to suggest we get back on track here and maybe wrap it up with some really cool lunar news. Mm-hmm. Something big happened recently.
Did.
I mean, historic, huge.
Yeah, that's true, man. So we'll say this. history is made because a commercial space agency or commercial contract was fulfilled. The first commercial lander from, is it ever, or just the U.S.? It's just the U.S. I think that. No, it's ever. I'm confusing my facts. Firefly Aerospace landed something on the moon this weekend, which is super cool. I think up until this point, it's only been governmental payloads that have actually been deployed onto the moon. So rovers and landers, or orbiters. I think it's all been governmental. So let me read this article I got here. That's actually from the Firefly Aerospace website. Let's get the facts straight, because clearly I'm not reliable. So let's do this. All right, here we go. Firefly Aerospace, the leader in end-to-end responsive space services, today announced its Blue Ghost lunar lander softly touched down on the moon's surface in an upright, stable configuration on the company's first attempt. As part of NASA's Commercial Lunar Payload Services, or CLPS initiative, Firefly's Blue Ghost Mission 1, named Ghost Riders in the Sky, sets the tone for the future of exploration across the cislunar space as the first commercial company in history to achieve a fully successful soft landing on the moon.
That's incredible, dude. That's huge.
Yes.
This just happened yesterday.
It did.
It's like,
yeah. And there's more to this article. We could read it more, but I it's going to be performing a lot of experimentation, and some of it's like pretty freaking wild. Let's see. It's got 10 NASA payloads on it. Let's see here. Let me see if I can find some of the. Sorry, I'm kind of reading it as I go here.
You're good. I've got some stuff pulled up too.
Yes. Okay, here we go. Blue Ghost will now begin its surface operations and support several NASA science and technology demonstrations over the next 14 days, equivalent to a full lunar day. The surface operations include lunar subsurface drilling, sample collection, X-ray imaging, and dust mitigation experiments. On March 14th, Firefly expects to capture high-definition imagery of a total eclipse when the Earth blocks the sun above the moon's horizon. Yo!
That's going to be insane.
I always wondered that, was like, what would it be like to experience a red surface on the moon? We've never had that perspective before. And this thing is mounted with really nice cameras. If some of you look it up after this, go look up the video of this lander flying above the moon. A lot of these, like, in the imagery we have above the moon's surface, they're from one of the 6 Apollo missions, or more. There's more than 6. There was 6 that were landers, but there's more of them. And that's stuff from the 60s and early 70s. So it's dated, not super great. And even some of the stuff that is from modern day payloads, some of the imagery is more scientific than it is like, hey, let's do this in 8K. You're just not going to get that. This thing had stunning image quality of this fly over the lunar surface. Amazing. So go look that up. So to fact that we may get, did I say, did we may get, what am I, Scottish? We might get color image or video of the surface turning red from this thing in next week. Like next week. Like that could happen.
What a time. What a time to be alive.
And then on March 16th, Blue Ghost will then capture the lunar sunset, providing data on how lunar dust levitates due to solar influences and creates a lunar horizon glow, first documented by Eugene Cernan on Apollo 17. Following the sunset, Blue Ghost will operate several hours into the lunar night and continue to capture imagery that observes how levitating dust behavior changes after the sunset. I did not know that was a thing.
Same. This is news.
What the heck?
This is wild.
So this is all happening,
Wow.
and the average person has no freaking clue what is going on. Nobody knows. Very few people know this unless you're paying attention to space news. Nobody knows.
Yeah, that's Dude, I saw that it landed in the Sea of Crisis.
Is that right?
I wonder if like, we're not gonna be able to see it, are we?
Mare Crisium. No, it'd be way too small.
We wouldn't be able to see even just because I don't know how big this lander is.
It would have to be absolutely massive. Like imagine seeing the whole Earth in your field of view and trying to see a car. It would just be way too small. It would have to be like you wouldn't even be able to see a football stadium on the surface of the moon from here on. So it's like, yeah, it'd be big. You need a telescope bigger than anything we've ever made, but that would be super dope to see though.
Yep. Sorry to disappoint y'all.
Yeah.
I know everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna put my telescope at it. So cool. So freaking man. Cool.
So you guys, space history.
Hats off to them, yeah.
There was a keyword in that phrase, or in this article. Couldn't think of the word. Keyword, cislunar. Are you familiar with that term? This is a term that I think is going to be ever more relevant. And the oh no, what's up?
500-inch Dobsonian.
Yeah. Is that enough even? What is 500 inches? Is that like I don't know what the math is. How many feet? Yeah.
Yeah, you needed a telescope like a quarter mile wide, I think, to be able to resolve any kind of detail like that. It's
something upwards of that. But yeah, this term cislunar, CISLUNAR, it's basically referring to the space between Earth and the moon. And it is going to be a very active zone for commercial space flight. It's currently unoccupied for the most part. There are some satellites, but not much. But it is an untapped industry that will, I think, be probably a multi-trillion-dollar industry at some point. There's low Earth orbit operations, and then there is lunar operations. But that in between, it's like Wild West, and we're starting. This is like the start of that. People are going to be starting to do space stations and all sorts of initiatives that are going to be occupying these unmarked territories, and I'm really excited for it. So I would say be on the lookout for the word cislunar, and I like that it was dropped because there's companies now that are just starting, that are startups, that are going to be industry giants in 10 years that we know nothing about, and they're going to be cislunar operations.
That, like, I'm just trying to picture what that would look like. Like, I'm picturing my like a sci-fi show coming to reality.
Yeah.
Where something that was once just a fantasy or just media for entertainment is now going to be within reach. There's going to be so many other private companies wanting just push the limits.
Everyone's going to want a slice of the pie. There's going to be a lot to earn from it, and it's going to explode pretty quickly, which is super cool. It's going to make my dream come true a lot faster. I'll say that. What's up, Joe? Godfather Astro in the house. Welcome in, man. Two-time.
We got a vet. Yeah.
Two-time Galactic Window vet. Not to be confused with the two-time. if you know Dr. Disrespect. The
two-timer. Back to back.
1994 blockbuster champion.
Dude, I don't know if this is a silly question, but like, do you think we'll ever get to a point where people are going to be fighting over real estate on the moon? Like, has that already been established? Like boundaries, like, hey, or wasn't there some kind of law that no one can claim the moon? Or am I just making things up?
No, I think you're right. I don't know the actual facts. I think I've heard the same thing. There are the Artemis Accords, which is like a document that, I don't know, what is it, like 50 countries have signed. That's sort of like about this, the return to the moon. And I don't know what that entails. I know that's at least a document that is out there, but I think there is an international law that's like, yeah, nobody can own territory on the moon. But it's going to be a problem.
I agree, for sure.
And it's going to be a reactive situation because some joker, that's my polite term, is going to come onto the scene and just claim something, and you're going to get all feisty when someone tells them no. And then we're going to have to deal with it. It's not going to be something it's going to be something we wished we talked about a long time ago. And it's just like what's happening with space flight right now. Half of the reason why we're not back on the moon is because of regulation. In America, it's the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, limiting because the protocols are archaic. They were written in the 40s and the 50s, and they still hold today. Nobody was flying to space at that time. And those are the same rules for aerospace that now all of a sudden apply to launching a rocket. And a lot of these things have not been updated. And it's holding us back. And you know how long it takes to overturn regulation that's existed for 50, 60, 70 years? The same thing I think is going to happen with the moon. Is they're going to be like, oh yeah, well, you know, what we wrote in the 60s when we sent the Apollo up, that's going to be how it goes. It's fine. And then they're like, no, because X country just decided to claim half the moon. And they get all the resources because they said so. And it's like, well, we all should have agreed on something, you know? But it's not that hard. Get everybody in a room and be like, don't be a jerk. That's all you got to do.
It was only that easy.
I promise I will not be a jerk, and we can enjoy the moon together. The end. Signed, us.
There are actually several treaties and agreements that govern the use of outer space. Yeah, I didn't know about any of this. So there's the Outer Space Treaty, 1967. The United Nations Outer Space Treaty, or known as OST, is a primary international agreement governing space. It states that no country can claim sovereignty over the moon or any celestial body. The moon is in the province of all humankind and should be used for peaceful purposes. Space activities must benefit all nations. This means that no private entity or government can own land on the moon. There's also the Moon Agreement, 1979. This treaty goes further, stating that the moon and its resources cannot be owned or exploited by any entity unless there is an international framework in place. However, only a few countries signed this treaty, and major spacefaring nations like the US, Russia, and China did not ratify it, limiting its impact. This is interesting because, like, I don't know, even if these are in place, like Richard Jones says in the comment here, made a good point. What was it? Doesn't mean that they won't fight for it. I hope we don't get to the point where we're fighting over the dang moon. Who enforces that? A Space Force, right?
I mean,
or maybe they are just a chunk,
right? Because who's going to yield to the U.S. Space Force? You know,
we're gonna figure it out as we go along. We're just going to be making up rules, and I mean, who knows? I guess all I'm trying to say is I hope we stick to the original agreement and say that if we're going to be doing some stuff on the moon, it's going to benefit everyone, humankind, that being the key word there.
Yes.
And we do it peacefully. So.
Right.
We'll see, I guess.
I think it's like if you violate the moon agreement, every country gets their world leaders get to moon your world leader for an hour straight.
Ooh. Hell yeah.
And it's just like a shaming thing. It's like a shame. International dunce cap. Shame bell. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We put our flag there first. Just saying. Alien may say it belongs to them. Oh, you know what? I didn't even think about that. I mean, this takes us down a different rabbit hole. This is if we were to entertain that there's other intelligent beings or intelligent life out there, who's to say like they might interfere and say, whoa, just because you guys have a flag here doesn't mean jack.
Right. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I mean,
Interesting. Yeah, interesting.
I've heard conspiracy theories that the moon is a spaceship and that it came from somewhere else, and it used to be a moon from a different planet. It was brought here.
Yeah.
I mean, like, why not entertain that? I also think like things will be fine. Here's my prediction. I think things will be fine in the landscape of documenting and exploring the moon until our perception of the moon changes for a reason. And that reason might look like we found a rare mineral or natural resource that is scarce on Earth but is in abundance on the moon. That's going to be where things change, because everyone's going to want it, and it's going to be a money maker. And exactly. I don't have a good example of what that might be, but like it could be something extremely like economically destructive, and everyone's going to want to like freak out about it. The good thing is, I think people will be exploring the moon at a reasonable pace. It's very hard to get there, and very few countries have deployed things there or even attempted to. I mean, the US, Russia, China, Japan, and India, I think have deployed payloads. I might be missing a few, or maybe I'm not, but like there's very few countries, and few of them have done it on a repeat basis. So it's not like, even if we found out through one of these probes that, oh my gosh, the entire crust of the moon is made of gold, like no one could get there, and they couldn't do it quickly enough. It would take a very long time to even try to claim it. So hopefully there'll be enough time to like solve it,
Yeah. I see where you're coming from. I think there's a lot of unknowns too, and who's to say we don't make some kind of breakthrough within the next 50 years, and all of a sudden that escalates consumer space travel, where something that was not possible or it would take a long time is now something that can easily be done by just any average like private company.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I feel like when there's something on the line, whether it's extremely valuable resources or whatever, it's like all of a sudden people are more motivated to find a way to get there,
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I'd be motivated too if someone told me there was Taco Bell on the moon. I'm just saying, my perspective would change pretty quickly.
And they're in a heartbeat, baby. Yeah.
Those aren't lava tubes; those are spam tubes.
It's true. It's true. We the humans will do whatever they can for, the benefit of themselves.
Mm-hmm. Oh, geez. Humans are a weird flippin' species, man.
We are kind of weird, huh?
Yeah. Gosh, what a spread of people that exists, and how amazing we are to be able to do things we can do. It is mind-boggling. And there's really, it's up to this point, there's no stopping us. We haven't been stopped yet.
You know what would be the craziest thing? This is a hypothetical. But let's say whatever age you are right now, you've experienced whatever, like every experience that you've had up until now, from baby to like toddler, kindergarten, middle school, your teenage years, adult. What if one day you just woke up and none of that was real? Like all the time that you spent to this moment, you have found out for sure that it was just a dream. Or maybe we can go like this simulation route.
Yeah.
All of it, like none of this is real.
What do I wake up as? Self-aware and remembering every bit that happened? And how old? Am I the age I am now, or am I a kid?
Interesting. I would say maybe you wake up as a completely different like entity. So maybe you're still you, but that's a good question. Yeah. Maybe you're the same age.
Okay.
And you just kind of like, it's almost like you woke up with like dementia.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think I'd have to spend some time mourning the loss. If I'm able to remember everything that I know currently, I think I would mourn the loss of what was real.
Yeah.
I think it's likely I'd have to actually spend some time in that state. I think it'd be pretty shocking to lose some of the good things that do exist. But I think, then you'd come around. I mean, think about waking up dreams here. We were talking about like having like dream crushes on people. Like that usually goes away after a day or two. You just like kind of like shake it out. But like, I'm assuming that would be similar. You kind of just be like, oh, logic prevails after a point, and you say, well, it just wasn't real,
Man,
I don't know.
I feel like I feel like it might be so overwhelming that it might just be enough to just like cause that person just like completely like crash out.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a stroke.
I
don't know.
Yeah.
Alex says I'd be okay with it, to be honest. Start over.
Also, shout out to Sakura tuning in on Twitch.
Oh yeah, the Purple app.
That was a good question though. It would be weird, and I hope it never happens.
Same,
but it could. Dude, talking about moon stuff. I wanted to bring this up to you and to everyone else. I think it's really worth watching. So, how many of you out there are familiar with Tim Dodd, also known as the Everyday Astronaut, one of the largest space creators on YouTube? I think he's got like 1.8 million subscribers on YouTube. Kind of like
he's a giant.
The go-to voice for rocketry and space flight, and space history sort of videos. Goes really in depth. Done amazing content. He has been working on a video for like 10 months and it just came out the other day. Tan, have you seen it?
I started it.
Okay. Me too. I'm like 90% of the way through it. It's like a
so
2-hour video. It's the longest video ever made. And I agree. I think it's a must watch. It's literally, the point of it is to debunk space conspiracy or moon landing conspiracy theories. So people who claim that the moon landing was faked or it wasn't real. He made a very in-depth factual video. It's 2 hours long, busting but just about every major theory,
debunking everything. Yeah,
with proof, image-based proof from actual archives, interviews with astronauts, like and people who have actually experienced space or have an education. So it gives you a much more tangible and reliable stance to take on the topic versus some guy in the comments, or whatever.
Trust me, bro.
Exactly. It's a really, really great video. And I thought it was relevant to bring up because we've been talking about the moon tonight. And it literally like names something. Like people talk about, the shadows are at weird angles on the moon, or where are the stars? Why was the flag waving? All those common ones you see from people who try to convince you that the moon landings were faked. Literally it goes through all of them, and they're segmented up. So you can go through them chapter by chapter and find the one you want to watch and look on the timeline, and then they're all kind of labeled. Beautiful video, highly recommended. So let us know if you end up watching it, and what you learned. And even if you're not a conspiracy theorist, it's still a really cool educational experience, to like watch a video like that, because you just get smarter, and there's nothing wrong with just like broadening your scope of facts and perspective on something cool like the moon and why this acts that way and why this doesn't. Some of it is pretty nitty gritty, down to like the camera models that were used for the broadcast cameras on the moon, because that affects the way something was imaged, and how that gives X person an opinion, because that camera is different from that camera or whatever. Like, it gets nitty gritty, but it's just so cool. So I want to make sure you guys were aware of that it exists, and it's brand new. Well worth the 2 hours. Like, for real. I'm not exaggerating.
wanted to ask you. So I haven't finished it. I'm gonna put myself in the shoes of or I'm gonna do my best to put myself in the shoes of someone who denies like moon landing, right?
Mm-hmm.
In your best like unbiased opinion, do you feel like if I'm like a moon landing denier, and if I were to watch that video, do you think I would look at it from a pretty fair and unbiased perspective? Like, do you think I would say, you know what, this guy makes a good point, or do you feel like, oh, this is heavily leaning towards this, so therefore I'm gonna push back because he could be like a NASA show, or he could be getting paid. Seriously, he could be getting paid to make this, because I know that's gonna come up.
Yep.
So yeah, what are your thoughts?
Amazing question. Really quick, Ariel G in the chat asking, what's it called? The video is called "The Truth About the Moon." The truth about the moon landings. Correction. That was like. Let me make sure he didn't change it since I watched it. Yeah. The truth about the moon landings. Everyday astronaut. Currently has 700,000 views on it. 2 hours and 20 minutes long. So if that helps you, that's what it is. Back to your question though. Most people, I think, have their minds made up. In particular, those who tune in or subscribe to conspiracy theories. They know what they want, and they're willing to move goalposts as far as it takes into oblivion to just like back up their own stuff. So that basically what that means is those who have a closed mind won't last 10 seconds on that video because they don't want to hear it. They don't want to be wrong. So I don't think there's a large chunk of people who I think who need to have their minds brought to reality that won't, because they are not open-minded enough to allow themselves to be proven wrong. But I do think there is a portion of people who are reasonable. I think if there is somebody who gives it more time than say 10 seconds, and they may not be informed. Maybe they're not like a diehard conspiracy theorist, but maybe they're just like, yeah, I just don't know. I'm kind of in between. Like if they give it more than 10 seconds, I think someone like that could, see a perspective shift, or be open to logic and reason, and fact. It's certainly it's validating for those who already believe in history and believe in the factual side of it and understand these things happened. But I think there's just a certain slice of people that are I think the most polite word I can think of are difficult. Because it's like everyone's entitled to have an opinion, but sometimes there are things that are just like, okay, like, is the sky blue? Like, yes, it's just blue. Like, it's just what it is. And you can tell yourself it's green all day. You're just wrong. So, and those people who are that far into believing their own stuff, like, they're going to be satisfied with their own thing. They're going to be satisfied with their own belief, but they're going to be dissatisfied with how many people they can try to take down with them. That's the real kicker. I don't know. That's my long-winded, unprocessed answer. My hope is that there is at least one person goes, oh, you know what? That question was the one thing that always got me thinking that wasn't real. And here it is, like actual proof. Showing me that I was wrong, and now I can understand this and move on. You don't have to become a giant advocate for space or anything, or evangelize for space exploration. Like, it's like, just go live your daily life, and it's like, I'm okay with shifting my perspective. I hope that happens to at least one person.
I think you have to be open to, and this is difficult for a lot of people, but just being open to hear the other side. What was that one thing? We talked about this before in a previous episode, but I think it was something along the lines of seeking to understand.
Yes.
Yeah. that is something that I think a lot of people just kind of forgot how to do. I this we're just gonna I'm gonna bring up a similar situation on TikTok recently, but I ran into this live stream where this person was, I am almost certain she was looking at a planet, a really bright planet. Perhaps we would know it as Venus. And she was basically saying that it was like an angel and it's doing all these kinds of crazy things. And there's a lot of people in there. There's like 50 people all agreeing with her. And I politely said like, hey, I don't want to be disrespectful, but I think that's Venus. And, there are a lot of astronomy apps that you can use. There are a lot of tools that you can use to figure out like what things are in the sky. And the response I got was basically like, hey man, like if you don't like this, then leave. It wasn't like, oh, that's interesting. Like I disagree with you. But I'm open to checking out that app. And I just felt like I was swimming in an uphill battle. And it made me really sad because I'm like, dude, I'm almost 100% sure like that's a planet. But where I'm getting with this story is, I think if they had just simply said, you know what, I disagree with you, but let me go ahead and download this app. Let me look for myself. Let me go out and actually do the work. They probably would have found out like, hey, he's probably right. So I think the same thing can go for not just like this video about the moon being fake or real, but anything in life that people disagree on is taking the time to actually understanding the other side.
Yeah. I often think about like my own individual philosophy on life. And I feel like some of the key tenets that I've adopted throughout life often result in very short phrases being the key to like success. Very short phrases. And here's what some of them are that I've discovered. Like these things, like saying these things radically change your life. Like, thank you. I remember in high school, there was a sign in my school. It was like, if the only prayer you ever said was thank you, that would suffice. Like that stuck with me because it's like, it exemplifies gratitude in its simplest form. And that automatically puts you in a position of submission to something that has provided for you. And that is a humbling posture to have, like a modest posture. I also think the simple phrase, I'm sorry, 2 words, similar thing. It puts you in a position of submission, but like not like out of like a weakness, but like a yield to this. And on a similar tone, and this is probably the one that's most related in my head, is you are correct. 3 words, but the more we can get used to saying phrases like that, I think humanity improves itself. I am not perfect, but I try my best to think, how can I implement those simple 2 or 3 word phrases into my life as much as possible? Because if I can be comfortable with saying, no, you are correct in the middle of a conversation, then I'm going to allow my mind to be open to an alternate perspective. And perhaps maybe I was actually factually wrong about said thing. And I sometimes when I do say it, I watch my aura in myself. I kind of feel it like, oh gosh, like that actually feels good to realize that like I admitted I was wrong. I had that wrong. And this person I'm talking to actually had a better point. Like it actually happened to me this morning. I was at a work meeting with somebody, and we were discussing business, like the concept of business. And he said something and I kind of volleyed back. I was like, actually, I think, isn't that the same thing as this? And he's like, no, it's not. Like I was trying to prove a point, and he fired back again. It was like a back and forth 3 times. And I was like, no, you're right. Like a second ago, I was actually pretty firmly believing what I was saying. And I'm like, that's like how I said that was correct. And he's like, no, it's actually not. I'm like, no, you're right. And the feeling of like being able to release that, and like, no, I don't have to, I can let go of my pride in this silly, stupid conversation and just be okay with saying you're correct. So I don't know. I'm hopeful that we as a species can get better at that. And when you come to bigger topics, like, did we land on the moon? Are some of these people who are claiming we didn't go capable of saying that simple phrase, like, no, you're correct. I don't know.
Yeah, taking accountability, I think it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
I think the difficult part lies in the initial work to get to that point, like just listening.
Mm-hmm.
Because like they're not going to submit and it's like, oh, you're right, because they're just gonna, like, whether it's confirmation bias or they're just already have their mind settled in.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a tough part, man, and that's something I actually kind of just another quick tangent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get political, but I will say my friend and I, we are on complete opposite sides of the political spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing happened. We were talking about something. He's like, "Oh no," he's like, "That's fake," and I'm like, "No, no, no, no. Like your stuff is fake."
Yeah.
And at this point, we were both convinced that everything that we've been fed is fake.
Sure.
Come to find out, we were both right. There are some things that one side will take out of context, and the other side will do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But what was cool about this is that we came to an actual agreement that although we are very opinionated and probably very vocal on certain things that are happening, we understand that there's common ground. We
Mm-hmm.
can agree on certain things, and we also understand that a lot of things are sometimes just taken out of context. But
Yep.
that part right there is, it makes, that part allows you to disagree completely with something, but also remain civil and understand that the other person that you're talking to is a human being.
Yeah.
And if we can just get to that point, and like you were saying, man, I was like, you know what? I'm sorry because I thought this was real.
Mm-hmm.
If we can get to there, if we can somehow get over that hump, then
Yeah.
I think humanity will be in a much better place.
I think the sooner we realize that we won't die if we admit we're wrong, the better. The faster we come to that conclusion. Because I'm pretty sure at this point we're all convinced we're gonna just drop dead with no heartbeat in our chest if we say, "Hey, I was wrong." Like it's. I don't know why we have this. Maybe it's a survival instinct.
Well, I think people just don't like being wrong.
Right.
It's
Right.
uncomfortable. Conversation is key.
Yeah, I want to do a quick shout out here. Devin, what's happening, man? This is a long time friend from way back in the day. I had just mentioned high
cool.
school, and I knew him from high school.
Nice.
Yes, when you're younger, was long distance running a big part of your thought process? It's a good question. And for those of you who don't know me on that level, I'm a distance runner, and I've been doing it actively since I was 12. I always loved the mile run in class. I was that weirdo who was like, "Yes, the mile run," and everyone else is like, "Oh crap."
That was me.
Yeah.
You finished in 4 minutes. I finished in 12.
Yeah. I was very slow in elementary school. I was actually really pathetic in it, and I just still loved it. But I was active in cross country and track from 6th grade until graduated college. But anyway, so in that point, like his question, like long distance running affecting your thought process, absolutely. And I'd say that probably matured as time went on. In particular in college, because that program that I was a part of in college was much more of a lifestyle team than it was a running team. It was like, hey, let's teach you how to live a life of success first, then the running comes next. And you can apply that to anything, like a company or a different sport like football or whatever. Like if you can actually learn how to be a successful person, a human being first, then all the results for whatever task you're trying to do will fall in line. And that was exemplified by the success of the program that we were in. The college I went to it's the most national championships of any sport in any division of NCAA. And we were a Division III school. And it's crazy, but that has absolutely transcended into my thought process in daily life. It's kind of like ingrained. I was there for 4 years, but
I love that.
every single day, those mantras, those tenets, they were like, I don't say drilled into us. They were spoken into us. They were breathed into us. And we start, once you do them, you live them out. It starts to permeate into the little things. And I love them. I know I shared a bunch of them throughout the show here and there, but when it comes to space, and what we're talking about, yeah, I think there's been times throughout my running career where endurance and perseverance has yielded results. I've translated those things into my astrophotography. Hey, let's stick this out a little bit longer. I want to get that shot. Versus like, let's turn it in. I'm tired. Whereas like, hey, let's stop this run at mile 4 instead of mile 10. Like I'm tired. That kind of a literal translation. Sure. But I think on the slightly more philosophical level, some things like integrity. There was a few times where I like kind of messed up in my running career, where I didn't train properly, and it was to the detriment of my teammates, and I had to own up to that. It was really hard. And I hate that moment in my life, but it taught me something. So being a part of that in the moment gave me the chance to actually bring that into my adult life going forward, and certainly into discussions about space. And I'm not always gonna be right about something about space. I'm gonna have conspiracy theories. I'm gonna have moments where I feel like I'm gonna take that to the grave, and maybe I'll have the brain power still at some point to translate that into what did I learn from that moment back then, and can I bring it forward now? Can I actually say those words like, you know what, I'm wrong, you're right. Who knows? So Devin, thanks for the chime in there. I love it.
That was inspiring, man.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate you guys listening. I'm trying really hard not to deviate too far, but I certainly can get passionate on the topic of just life philosophy in general. It's super fun. Leadership is like a huge core, like a joy for me to learn about. There's like one of those things like, how do you become a leader, and not just like a president or CEO of an organization, internal leadership within a group, leadership from the back. Like there are different types of leadership. I love that stuff. Like, so if we ever have a podcast episode dedicated to that kind of stuff, like sign me up. I'm there.
Dude, I appreciate whenever you deviate and go on these tangents. And honestly, I think it's my favorite part of the podcast. Sure, we can have maybe structured themes, but whenever someone is talking about something they're so passionate about, I just want to listen. So like, I actually encourage it, because we do, like, everyone has something that they're really interested about, and you have no idea how much that could inspire or resonate with someone else. So I would say, dude, don't cut it short if you just keep on doing it.
Yeah.
Celestial
Siren, I saw you were a thrower. That's awesome. Super cool. Good for you.
I don't know what that is.
So like on a track and field teams, like the field events, like shot put, discus, javelin.
Oh, okay.
And a hammer throw. There's like a couple different events that are like weight based or strength based.
Oh, that's cool.
They're very cool events. It was so impressive watching the Olympics last year. There was some amazing. There was this dude in shot put that I can't remember his name. I think he was American, and he was just like totally wrecking the field in the best way. He was dominating. It was so cool to watch.
I've never tried it. Maybe on a special episode, we can just both try javelin throwing for the first time or something.
Yo, yeah. Yeah, Ryan Krauser, is that his name? Yes, that's right. You're paying more attention than I was. You shot and disc, hated jav. Okay.
Very cool.
I was a mid-distance and distance runner, so I did 800, 1,500 mile in track with the occasional deviation, but I also ran cross country, so I was doing, the 8K distance in college.
Damn, dude.
But
straight up athlete.
Yo, yeah. Big part of my life, man.
Yeah.
I still do it, still run, still compete. Half marathons, ultra marathons for fun. It's just ingrained in me,
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Yeah, Devin. Yeah, you were on a track team with me. That's right. So we got history. We got athletes in the chat.
Pretty
athletes,
cool.
chatletes.
Chathletes, W's in the chat for the chathletes.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Gosh. I didn't do much.
Mm-hmm. Are there any sports just for fun that you like to play, just like with friends or anything?
Never got into it. I skateboarded. That was my sport.
Mm-hmm. It's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Pretty cool.
I was a coward about skateboarding. I was always too afraid. I had one, and I just was never good at it. I was too afraid to actually try.
We all have our lanes, man. I could say how intimidating it was too. Just the thought of like running too was something that was very intimidating, and yeah, it's pretty cool to see people like to know someone who can like run long distances. It's second nature for you, I'm sure, but dude, I know like in a life or death situation, I don't know how far I'd be able to run before I said, you know what, like my body, I literally can't do anymore.
Right. Yeah, I think life or death, your body would awaken to a new tier of ability. But I think, as with anybody, no matter what shape you're in, you have a limit, and you will run out of. You'd be maxed out at some point, you know. Devin, correct me. Is my brain failing me? You were in track, right? You were in the field. Am I remembering that correctly, or am I just remembering that we were in gym class together? I know we had gym class together, and sometimes that blurs together. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry if I got that incorrect. My brain is like flagging me for some reason. It's been 20 something years now, so like,
oh wow,
I don't remember. Dude, that's wild. I mean, yeah, it's been about that long. Okay, yeah, there we go. Thank you. I don't know why my brain was like, dude, fact check yourself, bro.
This is so funny to me. Just end up as bait. No, Foxy.
I mean,
Alex, I'm down, bro.
Is it zombies that we're running from? Because then yes, you're bait.
Yeah,
zombie
You'd
bait.
be surprised though. Whenever the life or death kicks in, like you were saying, I think you suddenly just harness some new abilities, whether it's endurance or just thinking, like flight or fight, right?
Mm-hmm. You ever have those moments when you're just like playing recreational sports or something where like you just something happens that you can't explain, like you just catch a ball in a crazy way, like how is this really in my hand? Like how did I do that? Yeah, right. Like I've had a lot of those moments before. I'm like, I can't justify something in the deep physiology just turned on, and it's beyond my comprehension. I'll never be able to recreate it. You know?
Yeah. Or perhaps you're trained enough, and there's just an opportunity for you to go a little further, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're just surprised, like, there's no way I just did that.
Right. Tiffy said she was in archery. Dude, I love archery. I took a class when I was like 13 in the summers, and it was awesome. It was so cool. I also just clamor for every chance I get to pick up a bow because they're a blast. I love it.
I've never tried that. It looks cool.
Dude, it's great because there's all these different kinds of bows, you know, recurve, you know, compound bow, crossbow. Like, now I'm getting chills. Let's go. Next time we meet up, we're gonna go to a range.
We gotta get Taco Bell, shoot some arrows.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Yeah, most bullseyes buys Taco Bell.
Yes, sounds good.
Yeah, or the least bullseye, or whatever however you would word that.
You have a compound bow? Badminton?
The cool thing about the compound bows, my friend has one. We were shooting it a couple years ago. Like when you have a recurve bow, which is kind of more like the traditional one, it's just like a piece of wood or fiberglass or something. You have to hold the tension of the bow, and if you let go, it's gonna go. The compound bow, it's a mechanical pulley system. So there's a point where it's a really heavy draw, but there's a point where it kind of snaps back, and then it kind of holds that tension for you. You can kind of relax. So the mechanisms
cool.
actually do the work for you to a point, which is really kind of a different experience. So it is worth trying the different ones. But both ways, you do have to have very good muscle stability. Like do some weightlifting a couple months before you try it, so you actually have some strength. Because you get sore.
I'm gonna have to buy one now.
Man.
Dude, holy crap, these things are not cheap. I'm actually looking them up.
Yeah, well, in a lot of ways too, what I learned was, getting them tuned up and having like specialty service done on them is like actually getting rarer because it's a more exclusive sport, and most people, there's not a lot of people kind of into that. Maybe in certain areas geographically, but I remember my buddy who used to live out here, he bought that bow we were shooting, and he's like, dude, the shops around here are shutting down in Chicagoland because there's just not enough interest. And to actually get the service I need done on this, like I have to drive pretty far now, where maybe it's like 10 years ago that wasn't the case. So it's kind of a bummer. Maybe like slightly less popular sport, but I don't know.
Let's bring it back.
Let's bring it back. Bring that back, and the cape. Bring the capes back. The capes and cloaks.
All right.
Still, I'll die on that hill. I want to walk down the street wearing a cloak, and have it be normal. Have like a Lando Calrissian cape at formal events.
Hell yeah.
Who wants a beer? All right. Well, now that we've successfully deviated on like 14 tiers deeper, should we bring it home and call it a night?
Let's do it so we can put on a cloak.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We peaked up here at 27 concurrent viewers here just a moment ago. Want to thank every single one of you who decided to come in and listen tonight. 2.5 hour show. Fantastic. I think this might be one of the most fun episodes I've had in a very long time. Rich with current events and facts and fun discussion all the way around. So, thank you to every viewer. And again, if you guys are listening after the fact on the other platforms, we want to thank you guys for engaging too. So be sure to come and say hi in the comment section on YouTube. One of my favorite things is when you come back and you tell me something you learned about space. So share that with me and Tan, either in your own social posts, tag us. Again, I'll pull up our names on social media, or come to the comment section here and be like, hey, on this episode, I learned about this and that blew my mind, or I never knew about X, Y, or Z. It gives us some feedback that what we're doing actually matters.
Talk to us, please.
Right.
Please just say something. Tell us things.
Yeah. Right. Oh man, like it really does matter. It gives us the feedback we want. On that note of feedback, like if there's something you guys feel like we could be improving, or something we can try, please let us know about those things too. You can do that in the comment sections or in the ratings sections of your favorite audio or podcast app. We do appreciate actual constructive feedback. We love the love, if you know what I mean. Like we love it when you guys tell us everything's great. That's encouraging, but sometimes we have blind spots and we want to know what those things are too. So we appreciate what you guys think. Because the only way we can get better is if you guys help us out. So
I disagree. Just keep on glazing us. Only good stuff, please. We don't want any. Don't even. I don't care about any of the stuff you don't like. Keep on glazing.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's. I would almost say the feedback, the criticism of things that we could improve, or maybe some suggestions, are a lot more invaluable.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like you were saying, man, we all have blind spots, and we don't know what's good or what people don't like until they tell us. So please, yeah, don't ever hesitate.
Yeah. I did see this. I'm gonna extend this just a hair, Devin. I'm gonna throw this one out to you. He put one more query. He said, my stepdad is getting into the astro world. Recommendation on affordable spends. I'm assuming you're looking for recommendations for telescopes or optics, things that somebody who's just starting out can get into. And this is a very popular question that we love to answer. Tan, do you want to give your take on that? Because I know you have a really good breakdown for beginners.
Yeah, sure. Devin, I would start out with binoculars. They are extremely affordable, and you can do so much with just a decent pair of binoculars. You can spend less than $50 and see a lot of stuff in the night sky. If you're wanting to kind of skip that level and go straight to a telescope, which is also fine, I would recommend a Dobsonian telescope. So like a 6-inch or an 8-inch if you can squeeze it. These are going to be around like $400 to $500. That telescope will last you a lifetime as long as you don't drop it. It's great. It's user friendly. You don't have to be super smart to know how to use it. Generally, you kind of just point at something you want to see and you look through it. So, binoculars. And if you're wanting to upgrade, then I would say a Dobsonian telescope.
Ball out of the park. Nailed it. 10 out of 10. Would buy again. A plus 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 plus.
Yeah, binoculars are something that people just overlook. Like, and honestly, I was one of those people too. Because when I think of binoculars, I think of like bird watching, and like that's about it. Bird watching, or maybe looking at some like scenic stuff, or just like watching a game from a stadium, right? But for celestial observations, man, you can see the moons on Jupiter. You won't be able to see up close, like you won't be able to see the craters on the moon or anything. But they're great. They're great, and you can just throw them in your bag. So,
my favorite part of your assessment is that a telescope like that would last you a lifetime, and it's true. The telescope I bought in high school when I was 18 years old, I still have, and it's like 17 years old at this point, still using it. And I've put a fair few dings in it. It's not in excellent shape. It's in good shape, but it still works, and it still it's amazing. It's not like a phone where you have to upgrade it every 2 years. I mean, telescopes and optics are literally 400 plus year old technology. You were talking back to Galileo. They're simple. It's mirrors and tubes. That's all it is.
That's it. Yeah.
There's no there can be smart chips in them. You can go in that level, but like CPUs and stuff. But like there's no wiring. It's just it's physics. It's light and measurement. That's all it is. So it should, if you treat it well and care for it, it can last you a lifetime. But yeah, I dig it.
Joe says don't drop the binoculars either. Yeah, dropping binoculars or telescopes it'll knock it out of collimation, which can be fixed, but that requires a whole other thing of like learning how to do it. So take care of your equipment, and it'll last you a really long time.
Yeah.
Richard Jones says, would you get night vision binoculars? Oh man. That's yes. Like if the average person could afford night vision, I would say everyone should own a pair. Unfortunately, they are just extremely expensive, but they are fun. They are really fun to have.
When I came to visit you last year, we talked about this on episode 22 when we did our in-person episode, but your friend who had the really nice pair of like basically NVGs, that it was just like unreal experience. And this is coming from somebody who's seen a lot of the night sky, who's looked through a lot of different optics and has done imagery and all that stuff. It was a brand new experience. And I was like, how do I get me one of these? That was how I felt immediately. And then I heard the price tag and I was like, I'm not getting one of these until a very long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Next level experience.
Two things. First, that is extremely impressive that you just knew that was episode 22. I was like, what? No, seriously, that is extremely impressive that you can just recall that exact episode, because I wouldn't have guessed. And two, you're right. For those of you guys that are watching or listening, night vision and astronomy, if you mesh the two together, and usually that comes in a form of just stargazing, just looking through the night vision, or hooking up to a telescope directly. I would say it is the pinnacle of astronomical viewing. If you ever get a chance to do that, you will be spoiled. There is nothing else in the world that will come remotely close to that. That is the highest you can go. So just know that there's nothing above it. Like, that is the ceiling, at least for now. And hopefully in the future, analog night vision will be a lot more affordable. But just to give you guys kind of like an idea of like what it would run, I think most decent night visions are gonna be around $4,000 or $5,000 just for like one. So not even like two binoculars, just one monocular. But it is a military, grade item, so it makes sense.
Mm-hmm. There's options for everybody, man.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. You can, really, you don't have to spend anything. You can download some apps on your phone and start learning the night skies.
Yeah, cool. Best I've got $3. Is it Patrick? all I have is $2. Who says that? Do you know that meme?
Know.
Is it Patrick Star?
I like the Patrick voice for a second though.
Yeah. Ladle.
What? Dude, I had no idea you just follow these voices.
Dude, don't get me started, man. It'll be an endless thing. Do you remember when I was streaming on TikTok a ton? People would just like put their requests in the chat, and I would just do my voices for a bit, and it got really ridiculous.
We might have to do that on a special stream.
Yes,
we'll take requests.
We'll do it for super chats. I'll do.
Yeah. We'll take... These aren't gonna be free, y'all. We're gonna have to make you work for it.
You gotta pay, baby. Yeah. I love doing impersonations. They're so much fun. I am that weirdo who, when I'm alone, I'm just like practicing voices because it's just entertaining.
Yeah. There's one that you do so well, but we'll just never be able to do it.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I know.
And no one will ever hear it except for you.
Look, I'm just going to tease you guys. I usually don't like doing this, but just know that Nick can do a 120% spot on impression of someone, but for reasons of not wanting to get canceled, we won't do it.
Yeah.
But damn, it's just something you and I are going to be able to have to enjoy ourselves, unfortunately.
Very,
or maybe some close friends.
Very premiere impression. It will stay behind locked doors. That's in the vault.
Take it to the grave with us, man.
I know, right? Gosh, it's everything I have right now to not do it, and it's gonna kill me.
It's. I just won't say it anymore. Yeah, Nick's good.
And it's funny because it's like not even something that people would publicly know.
Yeah, it's kind of like an inside thing.
Yeah, right.
If you know, you know. We've already said too much.
It's not Trump, Tiffany. It's not Trump.
Yeah,
no. Everyone knows Trump. Yeah.
Can you do a Trump impression?
I've tried. It's mediocre at best. I'm better off with Trump when I have a prepared line, and I don't have one in my head right now. I mean, there are those key movements though. The key to a good impression are layers. Is it this? Oh. It's stacking of layers of voice things. Like it's timbre, it's rasp, it's tone, intensity, volume. And then if you want to go the extra level, facial expressions and hand gestures. But with with Trump, it's that. And the
no, that's already pretty good.
You gotta tilt the head a little bit, get a little raspy. You gotta and you gotta have the cadence. It's tremendous. The cadence is tremendous.
The cadence is tremendous.
I think there's
so good.
See, that's the thing. I think in another life, there's a voice actor in me. If I dropped astro and content and video, I think maybe I would pursue some kind of voice career. But
yeah,
but doing impressions is not necessarily a career. Making your own voices is where it's really at. So that's where it gets hard, is creating your own characters. And that's the true magic of a voice actor. But I don't know.
Eat the dogs. Okay.
They're eating the dogs.
The Galactic Windows Space Podcast, y'all.
Yeah, right. Dude, I mean, that's like, yeah, I mean, foreign language is also another thing too, because it's kind of in that same boat. I love learning foreign languages. I'm not fluent in anything else, but I have a beginning understanding in a couple of things. And I also think when you're trying to learn a language, one of my favorite strategies that I've tried is like, if you want to actually sound more like a native speaker, you actually have to practice the accent in your native language. So like if I want, like when I've been practicing German throughout the years, like I practice speaking English with a German accent, like a strong German accent, because that actually
can you do that
easier to. I can. It depends. I like it. It's gosh, now I'm on the spot here. I'm not gonna see. This thing is like stuff like that. I'm gonna get a little bit like self-conscious about it because I know it's not gonna be great. But it's like it is a tactic that I use like when I'm practicing a lot, because if you can nail it in your language, then it will move over. Like with German, like V's and F's are kind of like reverse. So like you say like I'm trying to think of a good example. There's like any word that has a V kind of sounds more like an F. Anything that has an F sounds more like a V. And
like the same Victor? What about saying Victor?
It'd be like Victor.
Victor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
G's kind of a softer tone. So if I could practice like with a softer G, there's like hard G's are like a little bit more difficult in the, like I'm getting too deep in the weeds here. You could also get me going on a whole other podcast about this, dude.
Next episode.
Yeah, it's you just got to practice it in different ways, and the same thing for voice acting. Practice.
Joe says, "How do you make an angry face?" Yeah, can you make an angry face?
An angry face?
Yeah,
like, oh, I don't know.
Just be mad.
That's actually the hardest thing you possibly asked me to do. I have a really hard time being angry in general.
Just think of something that would actually make you really mad.
This is like
Here's
stuff
mine.
I'm actually in counseling for right now. Learning how to be angry. I can't do it. I have a friend who does this really great face. He makes like a upside down like cartoon level frown. It's like his signature thing, and it's great. Here's some French. Here's some Français. Oui, je parle français. J'ai aussi appris l'indonésien et le portugais. I don't know if I said that correctly. I speak French. I don't know what some of those. Is it a little in Indonesian and Portuguese as well? Did I translate that correctly?
I thought it said China #1.
So both of y'all are bad at being mad. That's true. Oh, that clicked on there.
Nick's giving Shrek.
Yeah. Scottish accent. That's a tough one. Only French I know is French fries. Johnny Rocks. Yeah. Pomme frites. Yeah. But pomme frites is French fries in French, right?
Pomme frites. That sounds right.
Mm-hmm. French is a cool language.
Tan, you better don't.
Let's see, what's this? Man, the comments keep moving out every time I try to click them. Je dois pratiquer mon français plus avec toi.
Plus avec toi.
Yeah. Angry for you. Think it's being disappointed. That kind of look. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like,
yeah.
I'm really bad at being angry.
That's pretty good.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think I can picture you being angry.
It's really hard for me, dude. It's
What if someone stole all of your like gaming systems?
I mean, I'd be mad. But yeah, I think
You seem like you'd be more like this, like you'd be more like like your look would be kind of like defeated and frustrated. But I'm trying to picture like a raging Nick.
Yeah, it's probably more of a like a pumped up. I'm gonna be more like moving around and like, you know, huffing and puffing more than I'm gonna be like raging. You know, I don't know. Like a come on, you know, that sort of expression.
The hand.
Yeah.
Anytime while they're driving, just
yeah, yeah, right. Dejected, yeah. Need your runner's high, yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's a whole nother conversation about all that. I'm sure. It's hard to get into. But I know I'd be very off put if I came home and all my my stuff was gone. As with anything, any of my stuff got stolen. I'm like, what the flipping heck, dude? Maybe I would just like cancel out. I'd be so mad that I'd just go silent. I don't know. Just be like, what even is mad? You know? You cannot breathe. Yeah, I always love Celestial is either in a state of perpetually being out of air or screaming. She's always screaming. That's the best part.
I'm screaming.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Laughing. All the laughs.
Good times. Right. Good times.
Yeah, dude. Well, what do you say, man? We found ourselves. We added another 20 minutes to the conversation somehow. I'm okay with that. 20 more minutes.
Slayed me. Accurate.
Nick's giving Walter Matthau. Like grumpy old men. Is that right?
I have to look that up. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, he's in Grumpy Old Men. We were talking about it with Ryan when we were hanging out up here. He was talking about you know, remember how he said how he greets me? And it's he quotes that movie Grumpy Old Men and Grumpier Old Men.
I need to watch that movie.
They're funny. It's dated, but it still holds true. Like comedy is comedy, you know, it will never like age out of relevance.
1993.
Yeah. So, all right. What do you say? Should we kill this thing?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. You guys, we'll be back here next Monday night, episode 41. What's the date on that? Is it the 10th? Is that
sounds about right?
Yeah.
Yep.
March 10th. Should probably update the thing here really quick. And we will be keeping you posted via YouTube posts. So that's something I've been trying to do a lot more. So if you guys have been following and subscribed to the channel here on YouTube, you'll be seeing posts in your feed from me occasionally. And especially if you're members, I'll be doing members only posts. Those are exclusive. You'll be seeing some more behind the scenes stuff, getting some notes, kind of like what's the thought process. Pay attention for those things because I'm often sharing things or in real time. It's a blast. So, and please interact with those. If you do see them, drop a comment, leave a thumbs up on it if you see it. Cause I just want to like get to know you guys better. It's important. But yeah, 10th, 9 p.m. Central, Galactic Windows Space Podcast. That's how we roll.
Good night, y'all. And don't forget, go see the eclipse. We'll remind you guys next week, but just know I want you guys to at least get the ball rolling. Plant the seed. Mark your calendars. March 13th. Total lunar eclipse.
March 13th.
Good night, y'all.
Love y'all. Take care. And you know the drill. We will see you all on the other side.